Chapter 1328. Qin Wentian followed the direction pointed out by that senior brother, and as expected, he came to a place where many residences could be seen. There were many residences here, and they were all closely connected. Also, there were actually many senior brothers and sisters here. Some were cultivating, some were playing chess, and there were even some who were chatting idly. Seems like the Heavenly Talisman realm was the same as well. There were all kinds of characters here. Although the disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm didn't interfere with each other, there were still some who liked to gather together for small gatherings. In the Heavenly Talisman realm, they were all senior and junior brothers. In the outside world, they were just ordinary friends or even strangers. Naturally, given how vast the immortal realms were, the disciples of the Heavenly Talisman realm all had their own paths of cultivation. If they didn't accept the same mission, it wouldn't be easy for them to bump into each other. In addition, Qin Wentian discovered a unique point. Almost everyone here was at the Immortal King realm. Junior brother pays my respects to senior brothers and sisters. Qin Wentian landed in a place with more people. There were some playing chess and some sipping tea. After Qin Wentian landed, he bowed slightly to show his respect. Oh, it's junior brother Qin. What's the matter? Someone turned his gaze over and smiled when he saw Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian glanced at one of them. He didn't know this senior brother, but this person directly referred to him as junior brother Qin. Clearly, this person was acquainted with him. Senior brother, have you met me before? Qin Wentian curiously asked. You are so famous, it's normal to see you in the crowd. Everyone, this little fellow is none other than the junior brother Qin Wentian, who caused such a huge commotion in the eastern regions. That immortal king laughed. Many people turned their gazes to Qin Wentian, surveying him, causing Qin Wentian to feel somewhat awkward. That fellow by Wuxia recommended you here, right? That fellow's cultivation is extremely high and his judgment is also good. Someone spoke with envy. Yeah, back then when I first entered the Heavenly Talisman realm, that brat by Wuxia was still playing around somewhere. Who would have thought that he would grow more and more powerful as time passed? Right now, he has yet to exit the Tiandao Sacred Academy. I wonder how he is doing. Junior brother Qin, when are you going to marry the princess of the Evergreen Kingdom? Someone asked with a smile. Although Qin Wentian's current cultivation base was slightly lower, these people also understood that for someone who could cause such chaos in the eastern regions when he was only at the Immortal Foundation realm, his future accomplishments would definitely be limitless. In addition, just the people who were related to him were already extremely outstanding. Emperor Qianbian, Chongqing the Great, immortal emperors of the Namhuang clan. Naturally, those who understood this were mainly those who were active in the eastern regions. The immortal realms were simply too vast. People from the other regions weren't so clear about the situation there. Junior is also worried about this matter. Right now, many major powers are eyeing me and it's hard for me to move about in the eastern regions. Since I'm at the threshold of the Immortal King realm, I wish to head to the northern regions to temper myself. I wonder which senior brother can bring me there? Qin Wentian spoke. You wish to head to the northern regions? A senior brother glanced at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded. I do know of a good place. There's a place in the northern regions that is very suitable for you to cultivate. That immortal king spoke. Are you talking about the Dark North Immortal Mountain? Someone beside him laughed. That's right, the Dark North Immortal Mountain is also known as the Immortal Mountain of Laws. Many people from the other regions of the immortal realms didn't mind traversing vast distances just to attempt to break through to the Immortal King realm. That's indeed a good place. Also, given junior brother Qin's talent, there naturally wouldn't be any problems for you to head there. Since you came from the northern regions, why don't you bring junior brother Qin there? An older immortal king senior brother spoke. The person who spoke earlier nodded his head and stared at Qin Wentian. Shall we head there now? If senior brother has no problems, we can head there now. Qin Wentian nodded. I'm fine, let's go. That senior brother stood up. After that, his silhouette flashed as Qin Wentian followed after him. At the same time, he didn't forget to clasp his hands to everyone. Many thanks, senior brothers. Everyone stared at the departing back of Qin Wentian as they laughed. This little fellow was truly humble. If he continued on this path, he might even be stronger than Wuxia in the future. The two of them came to a certain location in the Heavenly Talisman realm. That senior brother at the Immortal King realm formed a spatial gate, allowing them to see the situation outside. That place seemed to be a cultivation ground, with fiery energy circulating around it. Before this, I was in closed-door seclusion there. After that, I directly came to the Heavenly Talisman realm. Let me bring you out first before we return. The Immortal King spoke as he led Qin Wentian out, directly traversing through space and arriving at the cultivation ground. A terrifying heat instantly caused Qin Wentian to feel extremely unbearable. The Immortal King unleashed his law might, enveloping Qin Wentian. After that, he stretched out his palm, causing the fire law energy in this space to gradually dissipate. The law energy on the barrier of fire also gradually dissipated. There are people outside, but you should be able to handle them. I'll return first. The Immortal King waved his hand and left, directly sending Qin Wentian back to the northern regions of the Immortal Realms. Boom! At this moment, the fiery immortal wall ahead exploded as the law flames danced wildly. Qin Wentian turned his gaze outwards only to see that there were actually two groups of experts fighting each other. However, at this instant, all of them stopped and turned their gazes to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian still didn't understand what was going on. A cold voice drifted over. Who are you? What treasures did you obtain in this treasure ground? The person who spoke was a young man. His gaze was sharp and exuded a pressure. His cultivation base was at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation as he coldly stared at Qin Wentian. Treasure ground? Treasure? Qin Wentian silently mused. After that he understood. This senior brother of his was a powerful immortal king. Even though this place was a place for closed-door seclusion, it became a place where these people couldn't enter. They all mistook this place for a treasure ground, and thought that there were treasures within, forming a fiery wall. Qin Wentian's gaze was cold as he glanced at that young man. He didn't reply. On the other side, an old man's eyes gleamed brightly as he surveyed Qin Wentian's body. After that he probed. Is Senior the one cultivating here? This old man was extremely cautious. He couldn't sense Qin Wentian's aura, but for some senior characters, if they intentionally concealed their auras, they would be like Qin Wentian right now. Hence, he had some suspicions. Qin Wentian also calmly glanced at him, and didn't say anything. An old man referring to him as senior, although it was a little comical, it was still considered appropriate in terms of cultivation base. Even if he wasn't an immortal king, his cultivation base was still higher compared to the 7th level of Immortal Foundation. The eyes of the young man flickered when he heard the old man's words. He was filled with suspicions. Although Qin Wentian's aura was extraordinary, he was so young and didn't have the demeanor of an immortal king. Most probably he was here to steal treasures. Sir, who are you? If you obtained any treasures, please hand them over. The young man spoke again, but this time around his tone was a little warmer. Most probably he was trying to probe Qin Wentian. Scram. Qin Wentian glanced over as he spoke to the young man. A moment later, the young man's expression froze, becoming extremely unsightly to behold. What arrogant words. Could it be that this person was truly a senior who cultivated here? The young man felt a little tempted. He wanted to test Qin Wentian's cultivation base, but he didn't dare to act recklessly. If Qin Wentian was truly an immortal king, they would simply be courting death if they acted against him. You can't hear me? Qin Wentian frowned as a faint killing intent gushed forth. The expression of the young man changed again. He cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian and clasped his hands. Farewell. After speaking, he waved his hand and brought his men away. His decisiveness was truly decisive. Clearly he didn't dare to take the risk of probing Qin Wentian. Junior is from the Wan clan of Skyflame City. I pay my respects to Senior. The old man clasped his hands to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian nodded lightly, exuding an unfathomable aura as he asked. I'm currently cultivating here. How far is Skyflame City from the Dark North Immortal Mountain? In the Heavenly Talisman realm. The only information he obtained was about the Dark North Immortal Mountain. He naturally wanted to go there to take a look. The eyes of the old man gleamed with sharpness. The Dark North Immortal Mountain? Seems like an expert who just broke through to the Immortal King realm wanted to use the Dark North Immortal Mountain to stabilize his foundation. Senior, the Dark North Immortal Mountain is a sacred ground of our Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, and is located in the Dark North Royal City. Skyflame City is one of the cities of our dynasty, and now is the time for the Dark North Immortal Mountain to be opened. There are people from my Wan clan who want to head there as well. Why don't Senior follow me back to the clan, and we can head there together? The old man invited Qin Wentian. Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. In the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Li Yufeng's girlfriend Baiming Nongyue should be a princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. In addition, she also has an incomparably beautiful elder sister, Princess Kitamura. Right now, she should be the same as senior brother by Wuxia, still cultivating in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Other than knowing these two, Qin Wentian knew nothing about the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. In fact, he didn't even know anything about the Dark North Immortal Mountain he wanted to head to. Right now, he truly needed to gather some information. Okay, I will head there with you. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. It would be my honor. That old man happily spoke. Senior, please. Qin Wentian stepped out with the old man beside him. He then asked, Senior, did you intentionally come to the Dark North Immortal Mountain to cultivate? Did you rush here from the other regions? I came from the eastern regions. Qin Wentian nodded. Given how far the distance is, didn't Senior spend a very long time? The old man continued probing. Qin Wentian calmly replied, occasionally asking some questions. Very soon he found out that Skyflame City could be considered a mid-tier city in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Immortal King-ranked powers were as rare as the feathers of birds. An Immortal King would be able to summon the wind and rain in this city. The Wan clan that this old man was from was precisely an Immortal King-ranked clan, one of the strongest clans in Skyflame City. Also, the person who fought against them earlier was someone from another Immortal King-ranked power. These two powers were rivals. After finding out about this, Qin Wentian relaxed his guard. In this city, there shouldn't be anyone who could threaten his life. At the same time, Qin Wentian also found out that the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom governed the world. The Dark North Immortal Mountain was a sacred cultivation ground directly governed by the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. It was extremely suitable for those who had just broken through to the Immortal King realm. However, not everyone could casually enter and cultivate there. One had to obtain the permission of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. When the Immortal Mountain opened up, the geniuses of the various powers in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom would all head to the royal capital for a pilgrimage. Chapter 1329. Where did you say that Senior is? A young man inclined his head and stared at the old man beside Qin Wentian. His eyes gleamed with sharpness, as though they contained blazing flames within. He was clad in long robes and exuded an imposing aura. Evidently, his status was extraordinary and his cultivation base was at the peak of Immortal Foundation. He doesn't seem to be someone from your Wan clan. What has this got to do with you, Wan Miaoyan? The young man from the Yen clan didn't want to lose face in front of his lover. He coldly replied, maybe it's because he misunderstood you as an Immortal King earlier. In addition, it's not safe for you to leave now. The Yen clan and my Wan clan have a feud. Although Yenling is mediocre, there are a few powerful characters in the Yen clan who can stand shoulder to shoulder with Miaoyan and Yiming. If you leave now, the Yen clan might take revenge on you. The eyes of the old man flashed. He stared at Qin Wentian. Senior, you aren't an Immortal King? Old sir, I'm indeed cultivating there. How can I lie to you? You refer to me as Senior. I'm at the 9th level of Immortal Foundation, and you are at the 7th level. As for the people from the Yen clan, their cultivation bases are inferior to mine, yet they dared to look at me coldly. Don't tell me I shouldn't reprimand them? As for heading to the Dark North Immortal Mountain, I naturally wish to do so since I'm at the peak of Immortal Foundation. What's wrong with that? Qin Wentian retorted, causing the old man to be speechless. Although it was only a step away, 9th level Immortal Foundation experts could be seen everywhere in Skyflame City. Immortal kings were considered peak characters. Regardless of the Wan clan or the Yen clan, there were many 9th-level immortal foundation guards. The old man was stunned. He had no way to rebut. There was nothing wrong with Qin Wentian's words. Was everything really just a misunderstanding? Stepping forward, Qin Wentian stood on the city walls and stared down. There were actually many demonic beasts there, all raised by the Wan clan. Some of these demonic beasts were extremely tyrannical and powerful. Farewell then. Yanling coldly glanced at Qin Wentian before leading his men away. Qin Wentian glanced at the young woman. She had a sexy figure and was beautiful with a hint of pride on her face. Her cultivation base was at the 7th level of Immortal Foundation, the same as the old man. Although her seniority was lower, her cultivation base wasn't low. Clearly, her talent wasn't bad. Just as they were talking, an aura suddenly rushed over from afar. Everyone turned around, and the old man's expression changed slightly. It was someone from the Yen clan. They actually dared to come here. Take care of each other? Qin Wentian shrugged and said, "It doesn't seem to be very popular." As one of the strongest powers in Skyflame City, the Wan clan was extremely imposing. Qin Wentian entered together with the old man. Before they arrived, the old man had already sent someone to inform the Wan clan. Hence, when Qin Wentian arrived, many people personally came to welcome him. The group of people in the lead all had extraordinary auras. When they saw Qin Wentian, all of them had curious gazes. The people of the Wan clan all had strange looks in their eyes. A beautiful woman with cold arrogance coldly spoke. "Third uncle, have you become muddle-headed? Maybe this man is intentionally lying to you, wanting to join our Wan clan." The Wan clan of Skyflame City was one of the strongest powers in this city. They had an immortal king as their protector, and to ordinary cities, an immortal king was already considered very powerful. Naturally, it was a different story for the capital cities of immortal empires and dynasties. Those places were rich in resources, and were naturally the gathering place for experts. "I heard that you also wish to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain?" A cold voice rang out. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over only to see Wan Yiyao's beautiful eyes staring at him. There was a hint of pride in her eyes. When he thought of this, he bitterly smiled. "Since Brother Qin is already here, why don't you come to the Wan clan as a guest?" "Old sir, Junior will bid my farewell." Qin Wentian clasped his hands. On the way here, he managed to gather some information. It didn't matter if he went to the Wan clan or not. Before this, he didn't dare to take the risk after being berated by Qin Wentian. But he was unwilling to be humiliated like this. Hence, he came to the vicinity of the Wan clan in advance, and ordered his men to monitor the situation. And as expected, when he discovered that Qin Wentian wasn't an immortal king, he immediately brought his men over. These people were none other than the experts of the Yen clan who fought against the old man earlier. The young man in the lead coldly stared at Qin Wentian. "Little bastard, you actually dared to lie to me. Stop flattering yourself." Another woman smiled. "Third uncle, how do you plan to settle him?" Wan Miaoyan calmly glanced at him before turning and departing, ignoring him. She told Yanling to scram simply, because Yanling wanted to kidnap Qin Wentian. It wasn't because of Qin Wentian himself. "Lie to you?" Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. "When have I ever said that I'm an immortal king?" The young man from the Yen clan glanced at the woman who spoke. She was clad in a windbreaker and had a face as cold as frost, exuding an extraordinary aura. The old man was more honest. He was ranked third in the Wan clan, and right now, the Wan clan was managed by his two elder brothers. "Many thanks." Qin Wentian smiled and nodded to Wan Miaoyan. "Since I invited you here, I naturally have to be polite. How can I let you leave?" The old man shook his head, pulling Qin Wentian along. "Don't worry about it. Come to my residence as a guest for a few days." After entering the Wan clan, Qin Wentian naturally gathered more information about the Dark North Immortal Mountain. It was said that not long later, the Wan clan would send people to escort Wan Miaoyan and Wan Yiming to the Dark North Immortal Kingdom. After Qin Wentian learned of this, he felt at ease and decided to stay in the Wan clan. "Who are those people who spoke earlier?" They seem to have high statuses in the Wan clan. Qin Wentian asked. Qin Wentian initially wanted to teach that young man a lesson, but who would have thought that before he could do anything, that young man had already fled with his tail between his legs. His gaze turned to Wan Miaoyan. This young woman had a peak-level Immortal Foundation cultivation base, and was one of the two strongest here. The other was the young man who spoke first when he arrived. Hand this bastard to me and I will leave immediately. The young man pointed to Qin Wentian. Upon seeing this man calling him a bastard, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Just when he was about to step out, a clear voice rang out. You want to ask for people from my Wan clan? Are you qualified? I haven't thought it through yet. The old man smiled. Yao, do you have any suggestions? Just nice, isn't Miaoyan lacking a guard to feed the demonic beast? She can be a substitute. A young man at the side laughed. After that, expressions of interest appeared on the faces of everyone. Before this, Wan Miaoyan's guard died under the hands of a demonic beast. If Qin Wentian went to feed the demonic beast, only death would await him. Brother Qin, I won't refer to you as senior. You can just call me by my name, Wan Zhuqing. The old man spoke to Qin Wentian. Let's enter. After that, he clasped his hands to everyone. Everyone, I'm sorry. I've misunderstood. MHM. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded lightly. This man is an immortal king expert. How can he be so young? These people silently mused. Qin Wentian was speechless when he saw this scene. The old man beside him was truly acting on his own. He followed him to the Wan clan because he wanted to gather some information, and was preparing to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain. However, the old man caused such a huge commotion. It was hard for him to explain things clearly. This step was like ascending to the heavens. Nope. Wan Yao coldly spoke. She glanced at Qin Wentian before turning to leave as well. The other experts also left one after another, thinking that there was really an immortal king here. However, it was just a 9th-level Immortal Foundation character. There was no need for them to pay any attention to him. Wan Miaoyan. The young man from the Yen clan had an unsightly expression on his face. This young woman who spoke was one of the most outstanding geniuses in the Wan clan, possessing both beauty and talent. In Skyflame City, it was unknown how many people coveted her beauty, fantasizing about marrying her. The young man from the Yen clan also had such fantasies before. However, he knew that it wasn't realistic. Immortal King? Qin Wentian pretended not to know that the old man had misunderstood. After that, the expression of the old man changed. Sir, have you been lying to me before this? Qin Wentian followed the serving girl who came to summon him. They came to a bastion of beasts, and there were many young experts of the Wan clan here. They stood together and stared at the vast land below. Qin Wentian walked behind them, but none of them turned around, as though they had completely ignored his existence. People from the Yen clan actually dare to behave atrociously in the territory of my Wan clan? The old man coldly spoke. There were now 2 other old men beside the young man. Their eyes gleamed brightly and their cultivation bases were extremely high. Both of them were at the 9th level of Immortal Foundation. Since old sir is so kind, I Qin shall accept. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded, following Wan Zhuqing into the Wan clan. Could it be that old sir is so respectful to me because you misunderstood that I'm an immortal king? Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head, as though he didn't know anything at all. He clasped his hands. If this matter caused a misunderstanding and old sir doesn't welcome me, I Qin will take my leave. This one is. The old man pointed to Qin Wentian. The expression of the old man stiffened. I asked you if you are cultivating there, and you nodded your head. I addressed you as senior, and you refused to back down. Also, you directly told the people from the Yen clan to scram, and you came here wanting to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Are all these not counted? The person who asked me at the start was Wan Yiming, the son of my eldest brother. As for the woman who told Yen Yen to leave earlier, it was Wan Miaoyan, the daughter of my second brother. The 2 of them are the 2 with the best talent in our Wan clan, and the Wan clan has high hopes for them, hoping that they would be able to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain to cultivate. Although I have some misunderstandings with you, I can see that Brother Qin's aura is extraordinary, and since he wants to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain, I believe that he wouldn't be an ordinary character as well. Hence, I asked Brother Qin to stay behind. What are you all doing? I only came to the Wan clan to take a walk. Why is there a need to make such a scene? Qin Wentian stared at the old man. Is there some misunderstanding? Yanling, you are truly shameless. Given your status, do you have the qualifications to question Sister Miaoyan? Scram. The woman who addressed the old man as third uncle earlier spoke, causing Yanling's expression to turn even more unsightly. Chapter 1330. Scarlet Wing's physique was gigantic, occupying an entire demonic palace. He stood there and inclined his head, staring at the young man in the air. Within his eyes, terrifying flames could be seen gushing forth. Qin Wentian's expression turned cold. He stretched out his hand and directly grabbed the divine weapon. His eyes also turned sharp as he stared at Scarlet Wing. The experts on the city walls all froze when they saw this scene. All of them had looks of disbelief on their faces. What was going on? Did Scarlet Wing go crazy today? He actually knelt before this fellow? The demonic beasts below inclined their heads as a baleful aura gushed forth, wanting to tear Qin Wentian apart. As demon immortals, they all had their own thoughts. But when they transformed into humans, there wasn't much difference between them and humans. They were forcibly captured and brought here as mounts. One could very well imagine how these demon immortals felt in their hearts. They wanted nothing more than to slaughter their way out and tear these humans apart. Naturally, there were many rebellions that occurred here. However, all of them were suppressed by iron and blood, using extremely cruel methods. What's going on? Wan Zhuqing also rushed over. When he learned that Wan Yao invited Qin Wentian here, he felt that something was amiss and immediately rushed over. After that, when he saw the scene before him, his heart shuddered with trepidation. With a flash, Qin Wentian soared forward, heading straight for the gigantic scarlet-winged demonic beast. Sister Miaoyan, we only told this man to serve Scarlet Wing. I wonder what methods he used to make Scarlet Wing act like this. Wan Yao seemed somewhat nervous. When Wan Miaoyan's gaze swept over, the demonic beasts all lowered their heads. Qin Wentian felt a little bewildered when he saw this scene. Seems like Wan Miaoyan's prestige in the Wan clan wasn't ordinary. The words of the young man were filled with mockery. Telling Qin Wentian to feed a demonic beast was an extremely despicable thing to do. However, when this man came to the Wan clan, he made everyone go out to welcome him. This caused many people to feel extremely unhappy. After speaking, he left together with Qin Wentian. On the way, Wan Zhuqing bitterly smiled at Qin Wentian as he shook his head. Luckily Miaoyan didn't hold this against you. You almost got harmed by Yao. In the future, if she invites you again, just ignore it. Just wait until it's time to move out, and we can head to the royal capital together. Although third uncle allowed you to come along, if you don't prove your strength, there's no need for our Wan clan to bring you along. Wan Yao's voice was cold as she stared ahead. When they saw Qin Wentian floating forward, the people on the city wall all revealed gloating expressions. Controlling red wings? Courting death. After speaking, she flew away. Crimson Wing roared and tossed Qin Wentian off. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed, only to see Crimson Wing leaving together with Wan Miaoyan. Before this woman, Crimson Wing was like a tamed sheep. Kneel. Qin Wentian coldly transmitted his voice, his words ringing out in Crimson Wing's mind. A look of terror flashed in Crimson Wing's eyes as his body involuntarily trembled. With a loud thud, his gigantic body directly prostrated on the ground. Terror filled his heart. How could this be? He actually felt an intense fear and a desire to submit. Third uncle, you invited this man to the Wan clan, but this man doesn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. I wonder what methods he used to make Crimson Wing behave like this. Why are you still not kneeling and apologizing? Wan Yao icily spoke, pushing all the blame onto Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian laughed silently. Most probably, the Wan clan thought that he had a favor to ask of them. He had too many methods to head there himself. Initially, he wanted to leave, but Wan Zhuqing urged him to stay. But since they wanted to see him taming demonic beasts, He might as well let them watch. These people, including Wan Yao, were all afraid of her. An instant later, Wan Miaoyan turned and left, leaving behind a cold voice. This time around, I will give face to third uncle. But if there's a next time, don't blame me for being impolite. You are the one messing around, right? Wan Zhuqing was somewhat unhappy. He stared at Wan Miaoyan and spoke. Miaoyan, right now, Brother Qin shouldn't know that I'm the one who invited him to the Wan clan. I'm planning to let him follow you and Yiming so that you can take care of each other. Crimson Wing snorted. He stood up, as though he also felt an innate fear towards Wan Miaoyan. These two were people he couldn't afford to offend. I told you to kneel. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice again. His eyes gleamed with a blood-colored light, resembling a true demon king. A blood-colored bolt of lightning directly shot into Crimson Wing's eyes. Crimson Wing actually knelt to the ground and lowered his head. His entire body trembled uncontrollably, appearing extremely terrified. Wan Miaoyan remained silent. Her expression was as cold as ever. She glanced at Qin Wentian again before calling out to her mount, Crimson Wing. Brother Qin is a guest. How can you speak in such a manner? Wan Yao coldly spoke, causing the laughter of everyone to stop. Wan Yao turned her gaze to Qin Wentian, pointing to a demonic beast far away. Over there was a greater demon whose entire body was bathed in flames. This was a variation-type demon immortal that had the body of a tiger or leopard and the wings of a bird. Its entire body was fiery red, and its eyes were extremely terrifying, as though they could shoot out flames. When everyone heard Wan Yao's words, expressions of interest appeared on their faces. They knew that Wan Yao intentionally wanted to probe Qin Wentian's strength. Before this, he came here in such a domineering manner. The entire Skyflame clan came out to welcome him. Now, she even wanted to bring him to the Dark North Immortal Mountain. However, because of Wan Zhuqing, everyone didn't dare to say anything. But if Qin Wentian's strength wasn't enough and he died in the hands of a demonic beast, he couldn't blame them. That's Sister Miaoyan's demonic beast mount, Crimson Wing. If you want to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain, you have to prove your strength first. If you can control this demonic beast, you can come with us. Wan Yao pointed to the demonic beast as she spoke. Scram, don't make me act personally. A voice filled with killing intent rang out in Qin Wentian's mind. It was actually a voice transmission. Qin Wentian stared at the Crimson Wing. This fellow could be considered the one with the best treatment. This figure had an extraordinary bearing and was extremely handsome. His face was filled with coldness, and when he glanced at his mount, Crimson Wing, his expression turned even colder. In addition, the demonic beast he fed was Wan Miaoyan's demonic beast mount. It wouldn't be a humiliation to him. Many people were waiting for such an opportunity to get closer to Wan Miaoyan. After that, the people of the Wan clan could only do their best to serve her. How would they dare to make the Crimson Wing kneel and stand on its back? Although she and Yiming are the two great geniuses of our Wan clan, in truth, the old patriarch favors Miaoyan more. Her talent is much higher compared to Yiming. As for how strong she is now, I'm not too sure. Wan Zhuqing shook his head. Qin Wentian didn't say anything more. Is Wan Miaoyan really so powerful? Qin Wentian casually smiled. It was like Wan Zhuqing was certain that if Wan Miaoyan was to be calculative, he would definitely be in a miserable state. Wan Zhuqing heaved a sigh of relief. Clearly, he was worried that Wan Miaoyan would really act against Qin Wentian. If that's the case, he would truly be letting down Qin Wentian. Everyone was still as silent as cicadas in winter. Even Wan Zhuqing, the third uncle of the Wan clan, couldn't compare to Wan Miaoyan. Wan Miaoyan was someone the old patriarch regarded highly, and might be another immortal king of the Wan clan. From this, one could very well imagine her status. What? You don't even dare to ride on a demonic beast? You still want to head to the Dark North Immortal Mountain? Someone crossed his arms in front of his chest as he mocked. Back then, there was a direct descendant of the Wan clan who approached Crimson Wing, causing Crimson Wing to be enraged. That descendant brought some people over to beat Crimson Wing up. When Wan Miaoyan learned of this, she returned a tooth for a tooth, beating up those who acted against Crimson Wing. All of them were heavily injured, causing the people of the Wan clan to shudder. Nobody dared to help those who were beaten up. Wan Miaoyan said that only she could control her mount. Only you are qualified to stand on the mount of Sister Miaoyan. Wan Yao coldly spoke. The expressions of the people in the surroundings all turned extremely unsightly, as though they were filled with fear. At this moment, a figure flashed over from afar. Many experts followed behind her, exuding an imposing aura. Qin Wentian descended and directly stood on Crimson Wing's back. He turned his head and stared at Wan Yao and the others. Is this the case? Qin Wentian could sense the baleful aura from these demonic beasts. He treated Little Rascal and Purgatory as his kin and companions, but there were many experts in the immortal realms who were different from him. They treated these demonic beasts purely as mounts and wouldn't care about emotions. In addition, many of these demonic beasts were controlled by special methods and had no way to escape. You. Wan Yao's eyes turned cold. Wan Zhuqing stared at her. Yao, stop messing around. Weren't you guys the ones who wanted me to control these demonic beasts? Qin Wentian frowned. After that, he saw those experts moving forward. A fiery red whip appeared in Wan Yao's hands, exuding a fearsome aura. She then swung it towards Qin Wentian, aiming for Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian landed on the ground. The look in Crimson Wing's eyes grew even more baleful. In an instant, a fearsome aura enveloped Qin Wentian. In just an instant, Qin Wentian was enveloped by a terrifying heat. This Crimson Wing was a peak-stage demon immortal. Qin Wentian coldly glanced at her. After that, he released the whip and spoke to Wan Zhuqing. Old sir, let's go. The lips of everyone curled up in an expression of interest. This was the demonic beast mount of Wan Miaoyan. In order to serve this demonic beast, many experts have already died. Even 9th-level Immortal Foundation guards died in the hands of Crimson Wing. Yet, they wanted Qin Wentian to control Crimson Wing? Yao was truly intelligent. Why are you still not scramming down? Wan Yao coldly spoke to Qin Wentian. Only she alone could sit on Wan Miaoyan's mount. Everyone had to do their best to serve her. This was why Crimson Wing dared to kill so many experts. And now, Qin Wentian wanted Crimson Wing to kneel and stand on its back. What methods did you use exactly? Wan Yao stared at Qin Wentian. Her voice was as cold as ever. Beast taming? Qin Wentian shook his head. Impudent. Wan Yao's countenance changed slightly and her expression suddenly became extremely cold. She scolded. The other experts also revealed a cold expression and said, "Get down here." A demonic light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. In just an instant, his demonic eyes resembled that of a descendant of a demon god, unexcelled in the world. With a single glance, he directly penetrated Crimson Wing's eyes, bringing with him a terrifying might that could cause all demons to prostrate before him. Chapter 1331. For the next period of time, Qin Wentian quietly cultivated in the residence Wan Zhuqing arranged for him. To him, the matters of the Wan clan weren't even worth a mention. He could leave whenever he wanted to. It was only because Wan Zhuqing repeatedly urged him to stay that he chose to stay. One night, while cultivating, Qin Wentian suddenly heard the sound of a zither. This zither music was pleasing to the ear, and contained an artistic conception. Qin Wentian, who was sitting cross-legged, gradually dispersed his aura. He slowly opened his eyes, and there was a hint of laziness in his eyes. It was as though he wanted to let go of all his obsessions and live a carefree life with his beloved. This zither music is interesting. Qin Wentian suddenly laughed. He didn't know what kind of person would be able to create such a state of mind. Beauty in the heart, as though it had seen through the mortal world. Yet it also seemed as though it had no attachment to power or cultivation. He stood up, and with a flash of his silhouette he walked out. An instant later, he arrived at the rooftop of a courtyard. He looked down and saw a woman in the courtyard with a veil covering her face. She was quietly playing the zither, and the sound of the zither was melodious. It was as though she had forgotten everything in the mortal world. So young. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered. It was very hard to imagine that such a melody was played by an extremely young maiden. Although her face was covered by a veil, one could still see how beautiful her countenance was. Her white robes fluttered in the wind, resembling a goddess under the moonlight, as though she was an immortal. Only with a pure state of mind Could one play the zither music? Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. He lay on the roof and listened quietly, not making a single sound. Even when the ethereal zither music gradually dissipated, he was still lying there lazily, as though he was enjoying it very much. Is it impolite to peep at her like this? A gentle and elegant voice drifted over. Qin Wentian slowly opened his eyes as he sat up. He stared at the maiden and smiled. I was influenced by the zither music and couldn't control my emotions. I apologize for my rudeness, please forgive me. Since you know it's impolite, why didn't you leave? The woman asked softly. Your zither music is out of this world. You seem to yearn for this path, and you don't like to cultivate. Why is your cultivation so high? Qin Wentian smiled and said, the people in the residence say that Wan Miaoyan and Wan Yiming are the two great geniuses of the Wan clan. However, I can see that Mrs. Cultivation is on par with them and the attainments you've shown in your zither music are also very deep. Your talent shouldn't be any worse than theirs. I'm a little curious. The beautiful eyes of the woman flashed with a strange light. Inclining her head, her pure and flawless eyes stared at Qin Wentian who was on the roof as she replied. I don't like to cultivate, there's no meaning in such a comparison. It's just that the majority of the people in the manor hate my zither music. Since you can see through my cultivation base with a single glance, your cultivation base shouldn't be weak. Why would you be attracted by my music? Because I don't like cultivation either. Qin Wentian smiled. Cultivation has always been a very boring thing. If you can immerse yourself in something you like to do, to play the zither, to write a book, to travel the world with the person you love, that is the true beauty of the world. The woman glanced at Qin Wentian in astonishment and smiled. How can it be so beautiful? Therefore, I have no choice but to cultivate. Even though cultivation is a boring thing, it is what I pursue. My obsession is strong because there are many beautiful things in the world that can only be realized through cultivation. Qin Wentian shrugged. The woman stared at him. Did this person understand what she was trying to express in her music? In that case, you still like to cultivate. The woman smiled and stared at Qin Wentian. My name is Jiyin. You live up to your name. My name is Qin Wentian. Smiling, Qin Wentian bid his farewell. I apologize for disturbing you. Goodbye. After that, his silhouette flickered as he left this place. During this period of time in the Wan clan, Qin Wentian would often listen to the music of the zither. He enjoyed it quite a bit. One day Wan Zhuqing came and asked Qin Wentian, are you used to this place? It's all right, it's just that I'm often disturbed by the music. Qin Wentian smiled as he stared at Wan Zhuqing. His words caused Wan Zhuqing's expression to change. You don't like the music of the zither as well? Qin Wentian smiled at Wan Zhuqing, causing Wan Zhuqing to smile bitterly and shake his head. This music is quite interesting. You arranged for me to be here, because you want me to get in touch with a soulmate, right? Qin Wentian said with a smile. How could he not know what Wan Zhuqing was thinking? Wan Zhuqing started. After that he smiled. Brother Qin, to tell you the truth, Jean is my daughter. This time around, I kept trying to persuade you to stay in the Wan clan because I have my own selfish motives. You should know that my cultivation base is weak. Although I'm an elder, even Yao wouldn't respect me. Jean's talent is extremely high, but she doesn't like to cultivate. She's obsessed with the four arts and rarely appears outside. In fact, many people don't even know of her existence. There are even some people in the same generation who have a conflict with her. Old Sir wants me to go together with the Wan clan, because Jean would be heading there as well. Qin Wentian smiled, instantly understanding Wan Zhuqing's intentions. Yes, the Dark North Immortal Mountain is an opportunity for Jean. I've already persuaded her to go, but I'm worried that she might suffer some losses on the way there. It would be difficult for her to rely on the younger generations of the Wan clan to take care of her. Hence, I wish to travel together with Brother Qin so that we can take care of each other. Naturally, if Brother Qin doesn't like it, just pretend that I didn't say anything. If Brother Qin blames me for being selfish and wants to leave, I will send you off. Wan Zhuqing sincerely spoke. Qin Wentian silently mused. Just like what he said to Jean back then. The beauty of the world can only be realized through the path of cultivation. Wan Zhuqing loved his daughter, but he also knew that his strength was weak. Even as an elder, his status wasn't high and he had to ask an outsider like him to take care of his daughter. Most probably he felt helpless. Okay. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. Wan Zhuqing didn't expect Qin Wentian to agree so straightforwardly. A look of joy appeared on his face as he spoke. I thank Brother Qin. I will go with you on this trip as well. Getting rid of Brother Qin is also a way for us to take care of each other. If we really encounter any unfathomable dangers, Brother Qin can just leave on your own. Qin Wentian nodded lightly and didn't say anything. Wan Zhuqing clasped his hands. Brother Qin, rest well. The day of departure is nearing. At that time, I will come back to invite Brother Qin to go with me. Qin Wentian nodded. Wan Zhuqing then left. Staring at his departing back, Qin Wentian smiled. Everyone has their own selfish motives. He naturally wouldn't mind Wan Zhuqing's little thoughts. It was fine as long as Wan Zhuqing was honest. In any case, Fairy Wuxia was also an interesting character. Several days later, outside the Wan clan's manor, many experts gathered. These were all elites of the Wan clan, and they were all preparing to escort the young masters and young mistresses of the Wan clan to the royal capital of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. The journey was extremely long, and they would need to rely on teleportation arrays. Initially, the young masters and young mistresses could head there alone, but because their destination was the incomparably powerful royal capital, the old master of the Wan clan was worried and sent people to escort them. In the crowd, Crimson Wing's physique was incomparably gigantic. Wan Miaoyan stood on top of Crimson Wing, exuding an unexcelled aura. Wan Yiming stood on a powerful flame dragon formed from astral energy, exuding an incomparably imposing aura. The two of them were in the center of the crowd, and there were many peak stage Immortal Foundation elders of the Wan clan as guards. There was also the second brother of the Wan clan personally guarding them. He glanced at his beloved daughter Wan Miaoyan as a smile appeared on his face. The Dark North Immortal Mountain. He hoped that Miaoyan would have a chance to break through to the Immortal King realm. At the borders, there was a sedan pulled by demonic beasts. The sedan was extremely large and the interior was as comfortable as a room. A veiled maiden quietly sat within. Wan Zhuqing and Qin Wentian were there as well. Move out. At this moment, Wan Miaoyan's father, Wan Qingyun, gave the order. A moment later, a group of experts soared into the air, flying towards the royal capital. Inside the sedan, Qin Wentian smiled at the maiden before him. Miss Xiyin, why do you like to wear a veil? I'm used to it. Xiyin spoke in a light voice. With a wave of her hand, she took out a brush, ink, paper and inkstone and actually started to paint in the sedan. Just like what Wan Zhuqing said, she liked the four arts. Lifting her brush, she casually drew as a portrait of a person appeared. Qin Wentian stared at the outline as he started. So it turned out that the person in the portrait was actually him. When the portrait was completed, a handsome young man with a gentle and refined demeanor appeared. This young man looked exactly the same as him, extremely miraculous. Miss Xiyin is not only skilled in the zither, your painting skills are shocking as well. Qin Wentian sighed. The him in the portrait seemed to be alive, exuding a divine charm. In fact, there was even a faint smile on his face, as though he wanted to walk out from the portrait. Sir Qin, please excuse me. Xiyin spoke in a light voice. Actually, cultivation is extremely wondrous. The myriad Daos of the myriad of Daos are all interconnected. Miss Xiyin doesn't like to cultivate, yet her talent is extremely high. Some might not understand, but to me it's only natural. Her heart is pure and flawless, and she has high attainments in both the zither and painting. If Miss Xiyin were to cultivate in divine inscriptions, her talent would definitely be extremely high as well. Qin Wentian smiled. Wan Zhuqing's eyes gleamed with sharpness. Qin Wentian's words seemed simple, yet they were all connected to the logic of cultivation, causing him to feel enlightened. In addition, he recalled an incident that happened many years ago, causing him to be filled with admiration for Qin Wentian. Although Xiyin had never cultivated in divine inscriptions before, she managed to easily inscribe an extremely powerful divine inscription. I don't dare to accept Sir Qin's words. Xiyin shook her head lightly. The journey here is boring. I wonder if I can enjoy the beautiful melody of the zither? Qin Wentian asked. Jean's eyes flickered. After that, she nodded her head lightly. She took out her zither and started to play. Qin Wentian closed his eyes and quietly admired the melody. His state of heart became calm and tranquil, as though he wanted to cast aside everything. He didn't reject such thoughts. Humans would naturally have too many distracting thoughts. In addition, the reason why he wanted to listen to Jian's zither music was because he could faintly sense a strange feeling from it, yet he couldn't grasp it. Enough. But very swiftly, a voice of reproach rang out, interrupting the melody. Qin Wentian opened his eyes as he furrowed his brows. Jian smiled, keeping her zither as she stared at Qin Wentian with an apologetic look on her face. Thinking too highly of yourself. A mocking voice rang out. The person who spoke was none other than Wan Yao. Since you don't like to cultivate, why is there a need to head to the royal capital of the dynasty? The mocking voices weren't masked at all. Wan Zhuqing's expression changed, but Jean didn't seem to mind at all, as though she was long used to it. Qin Wentian felt somewhat puzzled. Although Wan Zhuqing's cultivation base was low, Jean's talent was extraordinary. Why were these people so unhappy with her? Most probably, there must be a reason behind this. The journey was very long. Qin Wentian would occasionally close his eyes to cultivate, and he would also seal himself to listen to Jian's zither music. It was truly interesting along the way. They even passed through several teleportation arrays and finally, sighs of admiration drifted over from the outside world. We've arrived at the royal capital. After entering the royal capital, make sure to keep a low profile and don't offend anyone. Wan Qingshan commanded. In the royal capital, there was no one they couldn't afford to offend. Qin Wentian opened his eyes and smiled. We've arrived already? Traveling together with the Wan clan truly saved him a lot of trouble. This was also one of the reasons why he chose to stay in the Wan clan. Chapter 1332. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was a peak power of the northern regions. Qin Wentian had no way to know how strong it was exactly, but he was sure that it wouldn't be weaker compared to the Evergreen Kingdom that had just experienced a civil war. For such an immortal dynasty, how many experts would there be in the royal capital? No wonder Wan Qingshan gave the order not to offend anyone. The Skyflame city they were in was merely an insignificant little city to the royal capital. An immortal king clan might be able to reign supreme in Skyflame City, but over here, any immortal king would be able to easily destroy them. The people of the Wan clan all had looks of curiosity and excitement on their faces, surveying this majestic royal capital. Each and every street was like a winding dragon, majestic and majestic. The people here were all at the immortal foundation realm, and there were many immortal kings here. There were even immortal kings passing by them. Only in the sedan, Jean was still focused on her painting. There were no distractions in her heart, as though she didn't have much interest in this majestic royal capital. Uncle Wan, there's something I don't understand. Qin Wentian spoke to Wan Zhuqing. During the journey here, the two of them were already very familiar with each other. Qin Wentian also became much closer to him, directly referring to him as Uncle Wan. I know what you are puzzled about. There's no need to hide this. You should know the temperament of this last Jean. She stands aloof from worldly affairs. In Skyflame City, there are a few major powers as strong as the Wan clan, and there would often be conflicts between the younger generations. However, when the Wan clan hoped that Jean would fight for the Wan clan, this last actually didn't act at all. You should understand now, right? Wan Zhuqing bitterly smiled as he shook his head. Qin Wentian was astonished. After that, he laughed speechlessly. He didn't think that this matter was so funny. These clans all cared about face, and there would always be competitions. Jean clearly had talent, but she didn't participate, never fighting for the sake of her clan. She would naturally be ostracized. Jean, you are truly special. Qin Wentian smiled at the young woman before him. Jean put down the brush and paper in her hands. Over the past few days, she had drawn many portraits of Qin Wentian and Wan Zhuqing. Each of them had a different charm. Even Qin Wentian himself didn't know that he could have so many different poses. Is it special? Why aren't you guys special? Jean raised her head and looked at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian blinked. He was actually speechless. Yes, we are special. Qin Wentian nodded. Jean smiled, after which she rolled up the scrolls and kept them. Why do you need so many paintings? Qin Wentian asked. Look, Jean said. Watch. Qin Wentian was confused. And of course I will. Don't you think that you are quite handsome? Jean looked at Qin Wentian seriously. Qin Wentian started. Wan Zhuqing, who was at the side, couldn't help but laugh uproariously. This lass was able to kill Qin Wentian with just a few words. Uncle Wan, I discovered that not only is Jean's talent good, she also has a good point. Qin Wentian glanced at Wan Zhuqing. What good point? Wan Zhuqing was somewhat interested. You have good eyesight. Qin Wentian spoke with a straight face. Wan Zhuqing and Jean exchanged glances before both of them started laughing. Jean's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian as she smiled. Although you are quite handsome, your skin is also quite thick. Qin Wentian touched his own face and seriously replied, It's still okay. Wentian, Jean, you guys are quite compatible. Wan Zhuqing was in a good mood and also started joking. However, his joke seemed to have gone overboard. Qin Wentian and Jean were completely stunned. After that, an awkward silence. Cough cough, I was just casually speaking. Wan Zhuqing tried to smooth things over when he saw their awkward expressions. He was indeed just casually speaking. I have never traveled far before. I have no idea what the royal capital is like. Jean was intelligent and intentionally changed the topic. She lifted the curtains and stared at the royal capital outside. Since the Dark North Immortal Mountain is opening, wouldn't countless experts from the entire Hokage Sengoku Kingdom be rushing there? Qin Wentian also understood Jean's awkwardness. He asked Wan Zhuqing. The Dark North Immortal Mountain only opens once every 10 years, and there would indeed be countless experts coming. However, it wouldn't be too exaggerated. After all, the Dark North Immortal Mountain is just there, and it only opens once every 10 years. To those who are already at the Immortal King Realm, it's a very short period of time. Many people would only come when they are more confident. After all, it isn't an easy matter to traverse territories. That's right, even if you miss it, it would only be 10 years. However, there should be many people at the same cultivation realm in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Even if only a portion of them came, it would surely be a terrifying number. Right now, this royal capital would definitely be filled with people from all over the world. Qin Wentian nodded. That's only natural. Wan Zhuqing nodded. Seems like this is going to be a grand occasion for the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Qin Wentian laughed. I heard in Skyflame City that Princess Nongyue's cultivation base is already extremely high, and she has already broken through to the Immortal King realm, comprehending Immortal King might. This means that she can also enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain to gain insights. In that case, the grand occasion for the Immortal Foundation expert Wuxia might be hosted by Princess Nongyue. At that time, Wentian, you would be able to meet an extremely famous princess of our Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. It's rumored that she's a great beauty. Wan Zhuqing laughed. Baiming Nongyue? A figure appeared in Qin Wentian's mind. With regards to this princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, he did have a good impression of her because of Li Yufeng. That couple was also a very interesting couple. She's indeed a beauty, but she already has someone in her heart. Qin Wentian spoke. Wan Zhuqing stared at Qin Wentian as he furrowed his brows. He then smiled. Wentian, you speak as though you have met Princess Nongyue before. As for the person in her heart, I've never heard of him before. Why don't you tell me about him? The saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. Qin Wentian laughed. You have actually heard of the name of the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect before? Seems like I'm truly ignorant. Wan Zhuqing naturally knew of the 100 Refinements sect. They were also a peak power of the northern regions, and were neighbors to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. As for the saint child and Li Yufeng, he wasn't very clear about them. After all, this wasn't something related to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Qin Wentian saw Wan Zhuqing staring at him. He then asked, "What's wrong? You are truly good at joking. You speak as though you really know about it." Wan Zhuqing laughed. Qin Wentian blinked his eyes and laughed as well, but he didn't explain anything. After all, to Wan Zhuqing, regardless of Baiming Nongyue or the Saint Child of the 100 Refinements sect, they were all characters above the clouds. No matter how good Qin Wentian's talent was, he was merely a minor character in front of them. How would a minor character know about matters above the clouds? Are you joking? Shameless is the correct word. Outside, a mocking voice drifted over. These two are truly interesting. One thinks he's aloof and virtuous, while the other is even more laughable. He actually used Princess Nongyue and the Saint Child of the 100 Refinements sect to raise himself up. How shameless. Third uncle, you are right, the two of them are truly compatible. This voice belonged to Wan Yao. Clearly, she had been eavesdropping on the conversation inside. Wan Zhuqing's expression changed. Yao, don't speak nonsense. Third uncle, do you think I'm wrong? In that case, why don't you ask the others? Wan Yao coldly laughed. Many people outside started laughing as well. Princess Nongyue, Saint Child of the 100 Refinements sect, these are true dragons among humans. To think that there's actually someone here who doesn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. Since I'm a scoundrel, I won't go so far as to eavesdrop on the conversation of others. Qin Wentian laughed. No matter how much I boast, what does it have to do with you guys? Since you are a guard of my Wan clan, you naturally have something to do with it. You actually still have the face to sit in the sedan? How shameless. Wan Yao spoke again. Yao, you are too much. Wentian is my guest. Do you want to question my arrangements? Wan Zhuqing coldly spoke. At the same time, he patted Qin Wentian on his shoulder, indicating for him not to argue pointlessly and to endure it for now. Third uncle, since you are so protective of an outsider, what else can I say? Wan Yao coldly snorted. At this moment, outside the royal capital, another group of experts entered. This group of experts was extremely majestic, and the people in the lead all exuded an extraordinary aura. This was especially so for a young man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. His handsome face exuded a carefree aura as he entered the royal capital with a smile on his face. Yufeng, this time around, you didn't come to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom just for the sake of the Dark North Immortal Mountain, right? I heard that this time around, Baiming Nongyue might be the host of the banquet. A young man at the side laughed as he stared at Li Yufeng. A smile appeared on Li Yufeng's handsome face. This time around, he naturally didn't come here just for the sake of entering the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Why don't you say something? Are you preparing to come to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom to propose marriage? The young man at the side laughed. If I came here just like that, would the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom agree to it? Li Yufeng laughed. That's hard to say. Maybe the emperor of the dynasty saw your talent and directly wanted to recruit you as his son-in-law, agreeing to this marriage. You really know how to think. Li Yufeng spoke. It's rumored that Baiming Nongyue's elder sister, Princess Kitamura, is a supreme beauty, famous throughout the northern regions. However, I've never seen her countenance before. Sadly, she's still in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Seems like I won't have a chance to see her. Yufeng, you saw her before. How is she compared to Baiming Nongyue? The young man at the side laughed. If we are comparing beauty, Princess Kitamura is more outstanding. Li Yufeng replied, admitting that Princess Kitamura was indeed a supreme beauty. I really want to see her for myself. Ah, that person laughed. The group of people rode on their powerful treasures and soared through the air like bolts of lightning, directly flying past the heads of Qin Wentian's group. The people of the Wan clan inclined their heads and stared at those people in the air. They were thinking in their hearts that these people should be from major powers, right? Their treasures were all so powerful. Qin Wentian was in the sedan and didn't mind. After all, although his immortal sense was very strong, he wouldn't release it for no reason. Chapter 1333. Wan Miaoyan inclined her head and stared at the departing figures in the air. Although the auras of some of these people weren't strong, and their cultivation bases might be on the same level as her, The aura they exuded was sufficient to make one feel what it means to be a supreme character. Miaoyan, you only lack an opportunity. This trip to the royal capital is your good fortune. Not only do you want to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain for cultivation, I hope that you would be able to gain some good fortune in the royal capital and enter the tutelage of an expert. The Wan clan is no longer suitable for you. At this moment, Wan Miaoyan's father, Wan Qingshan, spoke. I wish to take a look at the royal palace. Wan Miaoyan spoke in a light voice. Since we are already in the royal capital, we naturally have to take a look outside the royal palace. Wan Qingshan nodded, his eyes filled with reverence. They came from a small city in the dynasty, and might only be able to come to the royal capital a few times in their lives. To them, the royal palace was a place of pilgrimage. Going to the royal palace to take a look? The people in the surroundings were all extremely agitated, as though they were on a pilgrimage. To think that I would be able to see the royal palace of my dynasty in my lifetime. Wan Zhuqing, who was in the sedan, also sighed, his state of heart fluctuating slightly. The two young men beside him were much calmer. Wentian, you are so young and might have great accomplishments in the future. Don't you yearn for it? Wan Zhuqing stared at Qin Wentian. I naturally yearn for it. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. Before this, Wan Zhuqing didn't dare to believe him when he casually mentioned the matter between Baiming Nongyue and Li Yufeng. He naturally wouldn't say that he could freely enter and exit the royal palace of the Evergreen Kingdom. They continued on their way, and after a long time, they finally arrived outside the royal palace. The three of them exited the sedan and stared at the majestic city in front of them. It was extremely majestic, with layers upon layers of palaces stretching up into the clouds. It was like a majestic city that descended from the heavens. A single glance at it would cause reverence to appear in the hearts of people, as though they wanted to prostrate themselves and kowtow to it. Jean also seriously stared ahead, as though she wanted to carve the image of this majestic city into her mind. You want to draw it again? Qin Wentian stared at the serious expression in Jean's eyes as he smiled. Jean nodded lightly. Such a scene, if she could stay in the painting, would definitely be extremely beautiful. One day, I will also step into such a majestic city. One of the two heavens chosen, Wan Yiming, had a sharp gaze as flames burned in his eyes. Wan Miaoyan silently stared ahead. Her heart was also fluctuating. She clenched her fists as her beautiful eyes flashed with a strong conviction. Looking at the figures going in and out of the imperial palace, those were all high and mighty figures. One day, they would also become such people. Let's go. Wan Miaoyan calmly spoke. Wan Qingshan nodded. The group of them changed their direction, and after that, they inquired about the location of the Dark North Immortal Mountain before continuing on their way. The Dark North Immortal Mountain was located not far away from the royal capital. There was a stretch of mountain range here, and outside of this mountain range, there was an independent region that resembled a city within a city. This region was a place one had to pass through if they wanted to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. And it was also a place where experts who wished to enter the Immortal Mountain had to stop. Therefore, it was naturally extremely prosperous. Especially when the 10-year period was about to arrive, there would be a sea of people, and the streets would be empty. Experts from all over the world would gather in all the inns and restaurants, and it was extremely lively. After the people of the Wan clan arrived, they found an inn to rest their feet. Each of the inns here was extremely large and had independent courtyards, as well as places to enjoy delicacies. At this moment, the people of the Wan clan were seated in a circle, enjoying immortal-tasting delicacies. Many of the delicacies that could be enjoyed by immortals were cooked using immortal herbs and spirit beasts. If not, how could immortals be able to satisfy their cravings for good food? With regards to ordinary food, immortals no longer needed it. They wouldn't be interested in it at all. The people of the Wan clan were all enjoying themselves. These delicacies were all extremely expensive, and they spent a lot of immortal stones on them. It was rare for them to come to the royal capital, and the people who came here were all elites of their respective clans. They naturally wanted to be a little extravagant. Let me offer a toast to everyone. Let us congratulate Miaoyan and Wan Yiming in advance for being able to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. and break through to the immortal king realm, bringing glory to our clan." Wan Qingshan raised his cup to everyone as he spoke. Everyone raised their cups and drank with the exception of a small table at the side. Among Qin Wentian's group of 3, only Wan Zhuqing raised his cup. Qin Wentian and Jin acted as though they didn't hear it. This Wan Qingshan only congratulated Wan Miaoyan and Wan Yiming in advance. Wasn't he ignoring Jin as well? Sister Miaoyan and elder brother naturally have no problems. In the future, our Wan clan would have several immortal kings. At that time, I want to see how the Yin clan can still be so arrogant. Wan Yao smiled. The group of them were filled with confidence, as though they were consoling themselves. The people at the side glanced over, but most of them merely smiled. For those who came to the Dark North Immortal Mountain, who didn't want to break through to the Immortal King realm, all of them were filled with confidence. But how could it be so easy to step into the Immortal King realm? Everyone. At this moment, an old man with the air of a transcendent being clasped his hands. The people of the Wan clan turned their gazes to this old man only to hear Wan Qingshan speaking. "Old sir, what guidance do you have for us?" Just like what he said in the royal capital, Wan Qingshan didn't dare to casually offend anyone. This old man pointed to a table at the side. Over there, a young man with an elegant demeanor was drinking alone, exuding an air of arrogance. Behind him, there was an expert quietly standing there, like a bodyguard. "This is the young master of my clan, a member of the Duanmu clan," that old man introduced. After that, Wan Qingshan's expression turned heavy. He clasped his hands to the young man. "Wan Qingshan pays his respects to young master Duanmu." "MHM." The young man nodded, as arrogant as ever. He didn't even glance at the Wan clan. Wan Qingshan's eyes flashed. After that, he slowly lowered his hand, feeling trepidation in his heart. "Drinking alone is boring. Can I invite a young miss over to drink with me?" That young man calmly spoke, placing his wine cup down. His gaze landed on Wan Miaoyan. Wan Miaoyan's looks were extraordinary and would naturally attract attention. Wan Qingshan's expression froze. Wan Miaoyan's eyes flashed with a strange light. This was the first time they met, and he actually invited someone to drink with him? Such an abrupt action was extremely disrespectful. However, the other party was a descendant of an aristocrat clan in the royal capital. How could the Wan clan dare to offend him? "Why? Are you not willing?" The young man frowned as a cold intent gushed forth. The gazes of the people in the surroundings turned over. Some had looks of pity on their faces while others had the attitude of watching a good show. Naturally not. Wan Qingshan spoke. He turned his gaze to Qin Wentian. "Jin, go and accompany young master Duanmu for a drink." Wan Zhuqing and Jin's expressions both changed. The gaze of that young man shifted from Wan Miaoyan and landed on Jin. Jin's aura was simple and elegant, clean and transcendent. The young man's interest was piqued as he spoke. "Remove your veil." Jin clenched her fists as her body stiffened. Evidently, she was extremely unwilling to be threatened by a man. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness. He directly stared into the eyes of that young man and spoke, "Young master Duanmu." "Amici?" The young man glanced at Qin Wentian as he frowned. "Did I speak to you?" "I only wish to ask what sort of aristocrat clan is the Duanmu clan in the royal capital? Is it an immortal emperor aristocrat clan, or an immortal king aristocrat clan?" Qin Wentian laughed. His eyes gleamed with a golden light, as though he could see through everything. The eyes of the young man flickered with a strange light. He suddenly had a feeling that all his secrets would be seen through by Qin Wentian's eyes. What did you say?" The young man's voice turned cold. The old man in front of the Wan clan also radiated a cold intent as he coldly laughed at the Wan clan. Wan Qingshan's expression changed. "Impudent. Do you think you have the qualifications to speak here?" Qin Wentian's gaze also turned sharp. Before this, on account of Wan Zhuqing, he couldn't be bothered with these words of contempt and couldn't be bothered with these people. However, Wan Qingshan didn't hesitate to push Jin away. How shameless. Qin Wentian finally understood why Wan Zhuqing asked him to come along. Most probably, Wan Zhuqing knew that it might not be a good thing for Jin to travel together with the Wan clan. As an elder of the Wan clan, the first thing you thought of when you encountered such a situation is to sacrifice your own niece. How shameless are you? Qin Wentian spoke in disdain. If you don't want to interfere, just ignore it. There's no need for you to interfere in our matters. You. Wan Qingshan didn't expect Qin Wentian to be so impudent. Wan Miaoyan also furrowed her brows. At this moment, Qin Wentian stared at the young man. When the Dark North Immortal Mountain opens, there are all sorts of people here. Do you know that many people came from other smaller cities and didn't dare to offend anyone in the royal capital? You are making use of the fear of others to flaunt your might. Very smart. If there are people who were frightened and fainted, wouldn't your next step be to send them away with you? The expression of the young man changed. He stared at Qin Wentian. What are you talking about? Qin Wentian's lips curled up in a cold smile. Abruptly, a cold intent gushed forth as he roared. Scram. This voice was like thunder, causing many tables to buzz. The young man's heart pounded violently. He was frightened by Qin Wentian's gaze as his expression turned unsightly. Very well, just wait. The young man stood up, leaving behind a domineering voice. After that, he brought his guards and left, causing everyone to be taken aback. Since when is it your turn to interfere in the matters of my Wan clan? Wan Miaoyan frowned when she saw the young man leaving. If this young man truly had a powerful background, wouldn't her Wan clan be implicated? There's no need for me to interfere. Why didn't you directly accompany them earlier? Qin Wentian stared at Wan Miaoyan as he calmly spoke. Impudent. Wan Miaoyan's voice was extremely cold. But just as she spoke, she discovered that the young man had already retreated back to where they stood. In front of them, a few figures appeared. Everyone, Junior has unintentionally offended all of you. Please forgive me. The young man's expression was extremely complicated as he clasped his hands. Before this, there were already many incidents of beautiful women being harmed in this region. You were the one who did it, right? At this moment, a young man who had been silent all this while calmly spoke, causing the gazes of everyone to turn over. I don't understand what you are talking about. That person naturally denied. It's fine even if you deny it. Since you dared to borrow the name of my Duanmu clan, you should know the ending. The young man calmly spoke. He slowly stood up and turned around. After that, everyone saw a handsome countenance that exuded an extraordinary aura. Young master. Those who forced the young man back bowed in unison, causing the countenance of the fake young man to turn pale. It's really the young master of the Duanmu clan. This time around, the people at the various tables all felt their hearts trembling. Who would have thought that there would be such a coincidence? The fake young master actually encountered the real young master of the Duanmu clan. This was simply a dead end. Chapter 1334. That fake young man had a fascinating expression on his face. He was proficient in the art of disguise, and right now, the appearance he was using was also fake. Every time he succeeded in impersonating someone, he would immediately change his identity and act extremely cautiously. In addition, he knew that there were many outsiders in this region. He was extremely clear about the thoughts of these outsiders, and they wouldn't dare to act recklessly or offend others. They couldn't afford to offend the major powers of the royal capital. Hence, he would naturally act cautiously. As long as he disguised himself well, and was a little more domineering, he would be able to easily succeed. Even if he failed, he would still be able to leave easily. For example, this time, he heard the people of the Wan clan chatting. Wan Yao said that in the future, there would be several immortal kings in the Wan clan, and she was extremely excited. Clearly, this was a foreign immortal king power, and he didn't expect that his plan would be foiled by Qin Wentian. But it didn't matter, he could just leave. What's worse was that this fake young man encountered a real expert from the Duanmu clan. His expression changed. After that, with a thud, he directly knelt on the ground and kowtowed to the young man. I have eyes but failed to see. Young Master Duanmu, please spare my life. Clean this up cleanly. The young man from Duanmu clan calmly spoke. Momentarily, those experts who were blocking the way nodded their heads. After which, a terrifying aura gushed forth as several of them acted at the same time. In an instant, several terrifying finger strikes blasted out, directly landing on the young man kneeling on the ground as well as his guards. Those people didn't even have the time to react before they were all annihilated. All of them are immortal kings. The hearts of everyone trembled. Killing without leaving any traces? They directly carried the corpses away, and just like what the young man from the Duanmu clan said, they cleaned up the area cleanly. How tyrannical. Wan Yiyao sighed, her beautiful eyes staring at the young man from the Duanmu clan. This was what a true major character was like, direct and tyrannical. The people of the Wan clan all had a look of respect in their eyes when they stared at the young man from the Duanmu clan. A true major character truly had extraordinary demeanor, deciding the life and death of others with a single word. At this moment, the Duanmu young man turned to look at Qin Wentian and said calmly, "Previously, you asked me what kind of power the Duanmu clan is. In any case, no matter what kind of power it is, it's not something you can imagine." Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He didn't expect that earlier when he saw through the young man's scheme, and asked if the Duanmu aristocrat clan was an immortal king power or an immortal emperor power. The true young lord of the Duanmu aristocrat clan would feel extremely unhappy when he heard it. Qin Wentian felt that Qin Wentian was ignorant and inexperienced. Hence, Qin Wentian intentionally replied to Qin Wentian. As expected, descendants from major clans would naturally be more arrogant. That's only natural. I hope young Master Duanmu can forgive this brat's arrogant words. Wan Qingshan quickly apologized and raised his cup. "Thank you, young Master Duanmu, for helping me out this time. I'm very grateful." As he spoke, he downed the wine in his cup in one gulp. He didn't dare to propose a toast because he didn't have the qualifications to do so. The spectators all laughed. This was the difference between major characters and minor characters. Earlier, the imposter was able to deceive the Wan clan because the Wan clan was a minor character. They didn't dare to offend anyone, and didn't even dare to probe the imposter's identity. They could only obediently sacrifice one person to save everyone else. Luckily, there was still a more powerful young man in the Wan clan who managed to chase the imposter away. However, this young man didn't receive the treatment of a hero. On the contrary, the beautiful young woman coldly said that there was no need for Qin Wentian to interfere. The people of the Wan clan also blamed Qin Wentian for being a busybody. But now, young Master Duanmu stood out, and the people of the Wan clan immediately bowed respectfully, thanking him. Could it be that the person they should be grateful to wasn't the young man who came together with them? At this moment, the arrogance of major characters and the flattery and humility of minor characters were all clearly displayed. Qin Wentian could naturally see through all of this. From his particle world until now, he had experienced the sorrow of being a minor character, and also the glory of being a major character. What had he not experienced before? Although the Wan clan could be considered a hegemon in Skyflame City, the humbleness in their bones could still be clearly seen here. These people made him feel pity, but naturally he also hated them. How boring. Qin Wentian smiled at Jiyin as he shook his head lightly. "You can still laugh?" Jiyin's beautiful eyes flashed with a smile. "Others are boring, but I can't be too boring myself. In addition, at the very least, there's an interesting beauty before me." Qin Wentian laughed suavely, not caring about the atmosphere at all. The Wan clan was a minor character and naturally, they wouldn't dare to speak carelessly. But he was different. So what if the Duanmu clan was an immortal emperor-ranked power? What did this have to do with him? Let alone people from immortal emperor-ranked powers, even immortal emperors themselves wanted to kill him. Why would he care about the attitude of a junior from an immortal emperor-ranked power? Am I interesting? Jiyin blinked her eyes. You are much more interesting than them. Qin Wentian laughed. Enough. Only to hear Wan Miaoyan coldly berating. Before this, for the sake of third uncle, I didn't hold it against you for the matter with Crimson Wing. Since you came here with my Wan clan, you should act according to the orders of my Wan clan. Now that you are acting so recklessly here, it's fine if something happens to you. Don't implicate my Wan clan as well. When did he implicate the Wan clan? At this moment, Jiyin stood up, staring at Wan Miaoyan. Staring at Jiyin's actions, a look of bewilderment appeared on Qin Wentian's face. Wan Miaoyan and the others were stunned as well. Jin, who had always stood aloof from worldly affairs, was actually going to fight now? However, for the sake of the Wan clan, she didn't fight before. But now, for the sake of an outsider, she actually wanted to fight against the Wan clan. Third brother, what a good daughter you taught. Wan Qingshan coldly spoke, his words causing Wan Zhuqing's expression to change. In truth, earlier when Wan Qingshan chose to sacrifice Jin so easily, how could he not be infuriated? It was just that he had been enduring it. But now, these people actually dared to speak in such a manner? Second uncle, you are an elder and I respect you. However, the earlier matters are very clear. You all are cowardly, pushing me to the side. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian stopping me, and if there weren't any true members of the Duanmu clan here, I would have already become your sacrificial lamb. Doesn't the Wan clan feel ashamed? At this moment, Qin Wentian stood out to save the face of the Wan clan. It's fine if you all don't feel grateful, but you even want to scold me? Jin wants to ask second uncle, does the Wan clan still have any dignity? Jin slowly spoke. Not fighting didn't mean that they wouldn't fight. Who didn't understand logic? This was especially so for such a simple matter. Right and wrong could be seen with a single glance. Impudent. Wan Qingshan's expression was extremely unsightly. He slammed his palm on the table as his countenance turned extremely cold. Why didn't I discover in the past that your mouth is so powerful? Wan Yao coldly spoke. Third brother, your daughter dared to talk back to an elder. What do you think we should do? Wan Qingshan's voice was ice cold. What's so difficult about that? I know second uncle and the others don't like me. I will just leave. Jin softly spoke, extremely calm. He, as expected, you have a rebellious heart and have never treated yourself as a member of the Wan clan. Wan Qingshan directly put a big hat on her head. Enough. At this moment, Wan Zhuqing suddenly roared, causing everyone to fall silent as they turned their gazes to him. Second brother, you should be very clear in your heart why my Wan clan came here this time around. What would it look like if we were to fight amongst ourselves? No matter what, I, Wan Zhuqing, am still the third brother of the Wan clan. If second brother still treats me as your younger brother, let's temporarily forget about this matter. Everything will be decided after we return to the Wan clan. Wan Zhuqing spoke in a loud voice. Wan Qingshan's eyes were cold as he spoke. Since third brother said this, I will temporarily forget about this matter. After we return to the Wan clan, the clan will naturally decide what to do. But as for that little friend of yours, it's best that she doesn't meddle in other people's business. If not, don't blame me for being impolite. If it doesn't implicate Jin, I can't be bothered to care about the matters of your Wan clan. Qin Wentian sat there, calmly speaking as though everything had nothing to do with him. Jin, let's go back and rest. Jin nodded lightly. After that, the two of them stood up and left. Siding with an outsider so quickly. But what's the difference between this man and that swindler from before? Third brother, you better watch over your daughter. Wan Qingshan coldly mocked. Wan Zhuqing unhappily flicked his sleeves and left. In the courtyard where Jin was staying, the melodious sound of a zither rang out, instantly blowing away all his worries. The boring matters earlier were all forgotten by Qin Wentian. He quietly laid down on the pillar of the pavilion opposite Jin, listening to this otherworldly zither music, forgetting about cultivation and relaxing himself. After the song ended, Qin Wentian's eyes were still closed but a smile appeared on his face. My mood is much better now. Jin, how can a place like the Wan clan have such a wondrous woman like you? How can I be considered a wondrous woman? Jin shook her head lightly. How can you not be considered? No matter from which aspect, you are superior to Wan Miaoyan, right? Qin Wentian laughed. Wan Miaoyan is the #1 genius and #1 beauty of our Wan clan. Jin spoke in a light voice. I can't be sure of your talent, but at the very least, in terms of beauty, you are definitely much more beautiful than her. Qin Wentian laughed. Jin started. She stared at Qin Wentian. You haven't even seen it before, how would you know? Intuition. Qin Wentian continued to lie there with his eyes closed. Maybe your intuition isn't right. Jian's voice was still as gentle as ever. Qin Wentian sat up and opened his eyes. He smiled and turned around. After that, his eyes froze as he stared at the maiden before him. Jian's veil hung at the side. Her picturesque eyes were staring at him. The smile on her face was so pure and beautiful, without any impurities. My intuition isn't very accurate either. Qin Wentian seriously spoke. He shook his head. Your intuition is too bad. Comparing Wan Miaoyan to you is simply an insult to you. I also have a feeling. Before this, everyone here treated the Duanmu clan as a supreme character. Yet you were so calm from the start to the end. Your gaze was like looking at an ordinary person. In that case, does this mean that in your eyes, even if the Duanmu clan is an immortal emperor-ranked power, you wouldn't care? Jian asked in a light voice. Qin Wentian stared at the pure and flawless beauty before him as he smiled. For those with pure hearts, their senses would naturally be much sharper compared to ordinary people. The vast majority of people in the world have their eyes covered with dirt, and there are some things that they wouldn't be able to see clearly even if they were placed before them. But you, because you aren't tainted by dirt, you can see things more clearly compared to ordinary people. Jian, I can be sure now that Wan Miaoyan's talent is also incomparable to yours. You have said so much. Does this mean that you acknowledge my words? Jian smiled. Naturally. Qin Wentian nodded. The two of them exchanged glances and laughed. Chapter 1335. As the date of the opening of the Dark North Immortal Mountain neared, more and more people gathered in this area, reaching a shocking number. There were geniuses from all over the world, people from all walks of life, good and bad mixed together. The people of the Wan clan had lowly attitudes as they roamed around, wanting to experience the splendor of the great thousand worlds. Qin Wentian quietly stayed in the inn, occasionally comprehending and cultivating. Occasionally he would admire the beauties, the melodious music from the zither, and the beautiful paintings. His life was incomparably contented. Finally, a piece of news was transmitted over, causing a commotion in this vast region. It was said that the princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, Baiming Nongyue, has already arrived at the entrance of the Dark North Immortal Mountain, leading a group of experts from the dynasty. In fact, she was already preparing a grand banquet to welcome the experts from all over the empire. At the same time, she would also select the geniuses who had the qualifications to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Just like what the rumors said, the grand banquet this time around would be hosted by Princess Nongyue. At that time, countless geniuses from all over the empire would be able to witness the glory of Princess Nongyue. This was naturally a matter that caused everyone to be filled with anticipation. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom governed the world, and the princess was the daughter of the king of the dynasty. Her authority towered up into the sky, and she also had a peerless beauty. It was unknown how many people wanted to catch a glimpse of her beauty. In fact, there were many outstanding geniuses who dreamt that they would have a chance to gain the favor of the princess, allowing them to enter the empire one day and become the prince consort of the dynasty. Although this was an unrealistic fantasy, it would still cause one to be intoxicated. Just imagining it was already an extremely wondrous thing. Today, a group of powerful experts clad in black armor suddenly appeared in the airspace above this region. Their bodies exuded a supreme sharpness that brushed past the air. Each of them exuded an incomparably imposing aura. All of them were immortal kings. The entrance to the Dark North Immortal Mountain has already been opened. Princess Nongyue has set up a banquet to welcome the experts of the dynasty. For those who wish to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain or send them off, they can head over to participate in the banquet and enjoy the hospitality of the princess. A thunderous voice boomed out from the air, causing the entire region to tremble. In the air, those immortal kings exuded an imposing aura as they departed, returning to the entrance of the underworld Immortal Mountain. As for the people in this region, a commotion broke out. In an instant, countless figures soared up into the air, flying towards the same direction. Qin Wentian, Jian and Wan Zhuqing were together. When they inclined their heads, they saw that Wan Qingshan from the Wan clan had already brought his men and soared into the air. Wan Qingshan glanced at them before waving his hands. Move out. Let's go. Let's go, let's go. Voices rose and fell, resounding through the void. Almost everyone in the inn set off. Let's go. Wan Zhuqing spoke. After that, the three of them soared up into the air, heading towards the Wan clan. Although the relationship between both parties was already strained, everything can be resolved after they return to Skyflame City. Right now, there was nothing more important than sending Wan Miaoyan and Jin into the Dark North Immortal Mountain. There are really a lot of people. Qin Wentian glanced at the crowd in the air. The scale of this banquet seemed to surpass the Devil Emperor's birthday banquet back then on the fallen Devil Island. After all, there was a restriction on the number of people who could enter. But this time around, as long as one came from all directions, they could all enter. Although only a portion of people came every 10 years, it was still a terrifying number. To think that the person hosting this banquet would actually be Baiming Nongyue. Qin Wentian smiled when he thought of this. Coming to the northern regions to temper himself, he would meet someone familiar so soon. What a coincidence. The Dark North Immortal Mountain was a mountain range of laws. No one knew how it was formed. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom naturally wanted to have absolute control over this treasure land and set a rule. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom would open the banquet once every 10 years. This way, countless young geniuses would come here every 10 years to increase the prestige of the empire. Such a grand banquet was naturally to let the experts from all directions see how powerful the Immortal Dynasty was, allowing those with ambition to join the army of the Immortal Dynasty in the future, and to serve the dynasty. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. He followed the crowd and finally, he saw a boundlessly majestic mountain range. Over there should be the Dark North Immortal Mountain. The Dark North Immortal Mountain naturally wasn't just a mountain, it was a mountain range of laws. Although they could see the Dark North Immortal Mountain, they were still very far away. After traveling for a long time, they finally arrived at the boundary of this region. Ahead of them, there was an army of immensely powerful immortal dynasties guarding the area. Before this army, there was a boundlessly vast empty space where a banquet was prepared to welcome the experts from the 8 powers. The crowd flashed and entered the banquet. Their gazes stared ahead. The Dark North Immortal Mountain was already very close to them. At the very front of the banquet, there was an extremely imposing towering platform formed from 99 steps of stairs. There were many seats on it, and all of them were for the major characters of the empire. And at the very top, there was a black throne. If one sat there, they would be able to see everything, able to see every corner of this banquet. This time around, that throne would be the seat of Princess Nongyue. More and more experts arrived as more and more people entered the banquet, casually finding a seat. Many of the more confident experts from the major powers all squeezed to the front, wanting to occupy a good seat so that they would be closer to Princess Nongyue. There were also many people discussing. The true entrance to the Dark North Immortal Mountain could already be seen. This time around, they wondered how Princess Nongyue would choose the people who could enter, or would she allow everyone to enter? However, such a thing was too rare. If everyone was allowed to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain, things would surely be chaotic, and it might even affect those who truly needed to borrow the power of the Immortal Law Mountain for their cultivation. Hence, every time, there would be a limit to the number of people who could enter the mountain. Qin Wentian and the people of the Wan clan arrived at a location. They did their best to advance forward and found a good location. Wan Yao sighed. There are so many experts here. Skyflame City is truly too small. In the future, I don't even want to return. Yao, it's good that you have such thoughts. This world is very vast. When Princess Nongyue arrives, only when you see her glory would you know what a supreme character is. Princess Nongyue's age might even be younger than you. Wan Qingshan laughed. The people of the Wan clan were all filled with excitement, as well as hints of nervousness. Only Wan Yiming and Wan Miaoyan had intense anticipation in their eyes. This time around, the Dark North Immortal Mountain was a great opportunity for them. They had to enter no matter what. Young Master Duanmu is over there. At this moment, Wan Yao called out in shock. Not far away, young Master Duanmu, whom she met in the embark, then was standing there, surrounded by many people. Duanmu was the center of attention, casually standing there, but it was like he was the focal point of the crowd. Young Master Duanmu is a dragon among men. This is a character with true status. Miaoyan, I hope that one day, you or your husband would also be such a character. Wan Qingshan spoke to his daughter, his eyes filled with anticipation. Let's go over and greet him. A gentle smile appeared on Wan Yiyao's face. Right. Wan Qingshan nodded. Clearly, they weren't on the same level, but they still wanted to get closer to him. Qin Wentian shook his head lightly when he saw this scene. This was the nature of humans, fawning on those in power. We pay our respects to young Master Duanmu. The people of the Wan clan walked over. The young Master Duanmu turned his head back. His expression was calm, exuding a faint sense of arrogance as he stared at the people of the Wan clan. Among these people, the only one who could enter his eyes was none other than the beautiful Wan Miaoyan. Are you guys here for the Dark North Immortal Mountain as well? The young Master Duanmu calmly spoke. This is my daughter Wan Miaoyan. This time around, we came here to send her and my nephew into the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Wan Qingshan respectfully replied. The young Master Duanmu glanced at Wan Miaoyan only to see a rare smile appearing on her cold face, as she nodded to the young Master Duanmu. Miss Miaoyan's aura is extraordinary, there won't be a problem. You guys can just sit here. The young Master Duanmu waved his hand. Many thanks, young Master Duanmu. Wan Qingshan respectfully thanked him. Being able to form a connection with such a character, it was truly an extremely good thing. Many people in the surroundings surveyed the people of the Wan clan. Since these people recognized the young Master Duanmu, it was clear that they were all from the royal capital, and their backgrounds weren't bad. They naturally wouldn't be surprised by such a thing. How could Duanmu care about these people? He only spoke a few sentences to them because of the beautiful women. If he had a chance to play with them, Duanmu naturally wouldn't mind it. In any case, they were the ones who delivered themselves to his doorstep. Duanmu, your luck with women isn't bad. Who is this beauty? Not far away, a young man asked despite knowing the answer. Earlier he had already heard the conversation here, but he still intentionally asked. Muqiu, don't talk nonsense. I just got acquainted with Miss Miaoyan. Duanmu stared at the young man as he spoke. Haha, it's good that we just got acquainted. Such a beauty, Duanmu, you just happen to lack a companion. Why don't you marry her? Muqiu laughed. After that, he turned to the people of the Wan clan. Naturally, we still have to listen to the opinions of the beautiful women and their family members. The tone of this person was extremely frivolous, yet at the same time, there was also a hint of politeness in it, as though he respected others. This was the style of people from aristocratic clans. If it was an ordinary person saying this, the people of the Wan clan would definitely be extremely unhappy, feeling that it was frivolous. But the person who spoke was someone with a status like Duanmu. In that case, things would naturally be different. In fact, Wan Qingshan's heart was filled with waves of excitement. I also hoped that my daughter would be able to find a good husband. Wan Qingshan's skin was truly thick enough he didn't even bother to speak tactfully. Wan Miaoyan seemed somewhat bashful as she stared at Wan Qingshan. Father, what nonsense are you talking about? Father is speaking the truth. Wan Qingshan laughed. Qin Wentian involuntarily laughed. This family was truly melodramatic enough. What kind of attitude did Wan Qingshan have before him? How cold was Wan Miaoyan? But now when facing Duanmu, how could there be any trace of reservedness? Could it be that they couldn't tell that this young man who came later had the intention to say these words? This was merely a game of life for people at their level. Naturally, this matter could only be seen clearly by bystanders. Given the status of someone from the Wan clan, to suddenly obtain such an opportunity, they should be extremely excited in their hearts. Chapter 1336. Although Qin Wentian's laughter was very soft, the senses of these people were extremely sharp. They could easily hear it. Wan Qingshan and Wan Miaoyan frowned, as though they were extremely unhappy. However, in front of Duanmu, they didn't want to be rude and didn't want to act out. However, Wan Yao didn't care about that. She only coldly spoke. What are you laughing at? Nothing. Qin Wentian shook his head. Scram to the side. Wan Qingshan didn't act out on the spot. He transmitted his voice to Qin Wentian instead. At this moment, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with coldness. He glanced at Wan Qingshan and remained motionless. The gazes of everyone landed on Qin Wentian. Clearly, even if Wan Qingshan and the others didn't want to be calculative, they wouldn't be able to hide it from the eyes of these people. Earlier, what were you laughing at? Wan Qingshan coldly spoke. Can't I laugh? Qin Wentian counter-asked. No. Wan Miaoyan also spoke, her eyes cold. Qin Wentian's laughter seemed to be mocking her. Fine, since you guys want to know so much, I will tell you then. I'm laughing at a casual joke of others, and you actually expressed your stance so clearly. Regardless of whether you are looking for a son-in-law or as a woman, can you be more reserved? Qin Wentian's tone was no longer as polite as before. Although he didn't want to be calculative with people from the Wan clan, he couldn't do anything about them finding fault with him time and time again. As expected, Qin Wentian's unmasked sarcasm seemed to have uncovered something. A moment later, the gazes of Wan Qingshan and Wan Miaoyan turned exceptionally cold. The young man named Wuxia and Duanmu both stared at Qin Wentian with ridicule in their eyes. This person was truly interesting. This is? Wuxia's smile was gentle and scholarly, exuding the aura of a noble. A scoundrel, hiding in my Wan clan and sneaking his way here. How shameless. Wan Qingshan coldly spoke. Oh. Wuxia smiled and nodded. He then stared at Qin Wentian. You are quite interesting. Thank you. Qin Wentian smiled at Wuxia. It's just that speaking indiscriminately, even if it's interesting, can easily lead to an early death. Wuxia was still smiling, but his voice caused everyone to feel a chill in their hearts. Even those from the Wan clan could feel the pressure radiating from him. For a character like this, squashing Qin Wentian to death would be as simple as squashing an ant. You're so weird. Qin Wentian stared at Wuxia as he spat out these 4 words. Instantly, Wuxia's eyes narrowed as a cold intent radiated from his body. Impudent. At this moment, killing intent gushed forth from Wan Qingshan, gushing towards Qin Wentian. It wasn't easy for him to have a chance to climb up to the peak, but Qin Wentian was actually destroying everything here. If Qin Wentian wants to court death, he can go ahead and die. However, this would affect Wuxia and Duanmu's view of the Wan clan. He didn't want to miss such an opportunity. Before this, I've already given you face several times, but you don't even know the word gratitude. Could it be that you think that just by saying a few words, you would be able to make others look at you in a higher light? Wan Miaoyan stepped out, radiating a similarly unmasked coldness. Her beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian as she spoke, just an ant. In front of a character standing at the peak of the immortal realms, just a single step is enough to crush you into dust. You compared Qin Wentian to an ant and Duanmu and the others to characters at the peak of the clouds. In that case, what can you, Wan Miaoyan, be considered? Jiyin walked up as she calmly spoke. Wan Miaoyan turned her gaze to Jiyin. This was already the second time Jiyin stood in front of her and talked back to her. Who am I? It's not your turn to criticize me. Jiyin, you have never liked to fight, and when the clan needed you, you ignored us. However, you chose to stand against the clan time and time again for the sake of an outsider. Could it be that there's something going on between the two of you? Wan Miaoyan's expression was as cold as frost. Her words were extremely unpleasant to the ears. At this instant, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with coldness. He was truly angered. Before this, he only hated the people of the Wan clan. But right now, Wan Qingshan's killing intent and Wan Miaoyan's insulting words caused a wave of anger to well up in his heart. What kind of person is the type of person they would use to judge others? This should be the darkness of human nature. Jiyin lightly spoke. And just as she was speaking, Wuxia, who was at the side, suddenly waved his hand, catching everyone off guard. There were no signs at all, and a tearing sound rang out. The veil covering Jiyin's face was instantly torn apart. She closed her eyes, revealing a beautiful face that was as beautiful as a painting. The gazes of everyone instantly landed on her face. Upon staring at her, The expressions of Wuxia, Duanmu and the others all turned extremely interesting. Wan Miaoyan also started when she saw Jiyin's face. She had always been known as the #1 beauty of the Wang clan. Her talent and beauty were both #1. As for Jiyin, not many people cared about her existence. But right now, that beautiful face of hers was as beautiful as a painting. How could it be any different when compared to her coldness? Is this beauty also someone from your clan? Muqiu's expression instantly turned much gentler as he asked Wan Qingshan. Wan Qingshan's heart trembled when he saw Muqiu's expression. He nodded. MHM, she is my good-for-nothing niece. Right now, she is actually helping an outsider to deal with her own clan. I've incurred young Master Mu's ridicule. Beautiful women would always be more willful. It's just that it's not good for her to be used by some minor characters. Miss Jiyin, if you are interested, why don't we get to know each other? Muqiu smiled. Right now, Jiyin's expression was extremely unsightly, rudely tearing apart her veil, and even inviting her to get to know each other with a smile on his face. How shameless was this? Not interested. Jiyin coldly replied. Jiyin, it's your fortune that young Master Mu appreciates you. Go over. Wan Qingshan berated. You. Jiyin stared at Wan Qingshan. The matters today have completely toppled my understanding of the word shameless. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Scram. Muqiu smiled as he spat out a single word. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at Muqiu. You can forget about the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Scram. Muqiu stared into Qin Wentian's eyes as he spoke again. His expression was calm, and his tone was filled with unquestionable authority. Scram. Duanmu also spoke. The tone of the two of them was as calm as ever. It was like Qin Wentian was already destined to never be able to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Qin Wentian stood there, staring at the two figures before him. They were lofty and lofty, like they could decide his fate with a single sentence. The two young masters spared your dog life. Why are you still not thanking them before scramming? Wan Qingshan mocked. This person truly didn't know his own limits. What if I don't? Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Behind him, Wan Zhuqing and Jiyin both had unsightly expressions on their faces. I've never seen someone as lowly as you. You actually have no self-awareness at all. Wan Miaoyan coldly spoke. Could it be that you don't understand that any one of the people in front of you can easily take your lowly life? However, they only told you to scram. Do you really think that just because you are so hypocritical, others would look up to you and spare you? It's enough for you to lie to Jiyin. Just as the conflict erupted, the entire region was still bustling with noise and excitement. Very few people noticed that in the air, there were still many people arriving. Among them, there was a group of valiant-looking figures. The person in the lead was none other than Li Yufeng. Princess Nongyue hasn't arrived yet. Why are you in such a hurry to come here? Someone beside him laughed. Joining in the fun, isn't it very interesting? Li Yufeng laughed. He turned his gaze downwards. There were truly many people here today. That last Nongyue would soon receive the worship of these people. At this moment, Li Yufeng's gaze suddenly froze as he stared at a certain direction. He almost thought that he had seen wrongly. His bright eyes flickered. He was certain that he didn't see wrongly. After that, he smiled. You guys go and find a place first. I saw a friend here. I will go and greet him. I will be right back. As the sound of his voice faded, Li Yufeng directly sped away. The people around him started. This fellow was truly swift and decisive. However, there was actually a friend of his in the crowd. Someone who could be called a friend by Li Yufeng. What sort of character would he be? He actually came to the Dark North Immortal Mountain as well. This was truly interesting. Brother Qin, it has been a long time. Just when Qin Wentian was told to scram, a voice drifted over from the air. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over only to see Li Yufeng descending from the sky, landing beside him. Li Yufeng smiled. It has been so many years since we last met. To think that we would meet again here. Li Yufeng. Qin Wentian smiled. What a coincidence. When he heard that Baiming Nongyue would be the host of this banquet, he had already wondered if Li Yufeng would come. Who would have thought that they would really meet here? At this moment, Li Yufeng sensed that something was wrong with the atmosphere. He glanced at the surroundings and saw Muqiu and Duanmu laughing coldly, as well as the coldness radiating from the Wan clan. Only Qin Wentian stood there alone with a beauty behind him. This fellow was truly fated with women. Back then when he was in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, there were already several beauties accompanying him. Brother Qin, what's going on? Li Yufeng smiled when he saw this scene. Someone wants me to scram, saying that I'm destined to never be able to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Qin Wentian shook his head and smiled bitterly. Li Yufeng's eyes flashed. He stared at Duanmu and Muqiu as an expression of interest flashed in his eyes. Thinking back to those years ago, Qin Wentian who roasted the meat of white tigers from peak powers in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. Was he being bullied here? This is truly an interesting matter. Li Yufeng sighed with emotion. Who are you? Wan Qingshan coldly asked. The person before him seemed to feel a sense of familiarity. Since I'm here, I'm naturally prepared to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Li Yufeng laughed. No matter who you are, since you are standing beside him, you have no fate with the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Just scram. Muqiu smiled at Li Yufeng. The smile on his face was as confident as ever. Chapter 1337. As the sound of his voice faded, Li Yufeng's face was filled with black lines. No matter who he was, he had no fate with the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Telling him to scram? He came from far away just to see Baiming Nongyue. But now, at the banquet hosted by Baiming Nongyue, there was actually someone pointing at him and telling him to scram. Li Yufeng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He stared at Muqiu. Are you sure you are talking to me? As he spoke, Li Yufeng glanced to the side. There seemed to be no one beside him. Another idiot. Muqiu cast a pitiful glance at Li Yufeng. After that, his gaze turned to Qin Wentian. Do you want me to tell you to scram for the third time? I'm also someone from the Wan clan. Wan Qingshan, do you really have to be so ruthless in this matter? Wan Zhuqing's expression was extremely unsightly to behold. It was fine if the Wan clan wanted to climb up a higher branch. But now, they wanted Qin Wentian and Jiyin to lose their chance to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain. You guys are the ones who don't know what's good for you. After you return, discipline your daughter well. As for this brat, telling him to scram is already considered being polite. Wan Qingshan coldly spoke. Li Yufeng glanced at Qin Wentian with some sympathy. He didn't expect that this fellow would actually be told to scram when he came to the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Most probably, Qin Wentian was feeling the same as him right now, on the verge of collapse. Princess Nongyue hasn't arrived yet. She didn't say anything. Who are you guys? Why are you helping her to decide if we have the qualifications to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain? Li Yufeng's temper seemed to be quite good. His voice was as calm as ever as he asked Muqiu. Yes, so what of it? Muqiu saw that Li Yufeng didn't seem to care at all. Coldness radiated from him. If that's the case, I really want to see how you are going to tell me to scram. Li Yufeng also seemed to be in high spirits. He stared at Muqiu and spoke. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom has summoned experts from all 8 regions. Baiming Nongyue hasn't arrived yet, and you want to tell us to scram on her behalf? I really want to see what the experts of the Immortal Dynasty would do when they notice the commotion here when you guys are suppressing me. Muqiu's countenance changed. If it was outside, killing 2 Immortal Foundation experts would naturally be an extremely minor matter. This was especially so to someone of his status. However, this place was the entrance to the Immortal Mountain, the place where Princess Nongyue was about to hold the grand banquet. If he forcefully ordered his subordinates to kill these 2, it was impossible for him not to be discovered. If that was the case, he truly had no way to predict the attitude of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Although his birth was extraordinary, in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, no one dared to go against the Celestial Dynasty. Very smart, borrowing the power of the dynasty to suppress me? From now on, my men will keep their eyes on you. If you don't scram, there won't be any problems. Then, Muqiu's eyes flashed with a cold light as he said, Die. As the sound of the word die faded, a cold killing intent gushed forth, enveloping Li Yufeng and Qin Wentian. He stared at Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng like he was looking at a dead man. Wan Zhuqing paled. Young Master Mu, please forgive us. It was him who asked Qin Wentian to accompany them. But now, Qin Wentian actually met with a life-threatening crisis. A sin caused by the heavens can be forgiven, but a sin caused by oneself cannot be forgiven. Wan Qingshan coldly spoke. Courting death. Wan Miaoyan's expression was as cold as ever. She stared at Qin Wentian as she spoke. Pretending to have guts. Yet you are paying for it with your life. Lowly and foolish, overestimating your own capabilities. From the crowd of the Wan clan, mocking voices rang out, sounding exceptionally ear-piercing. Qin Wentian and Li Yufeng stood within the crowd, completely isolated. Naturally, if this beauty is willing to plead on your behalf, I might consider it. Wuxia stared at Jean beside Qin Wentian as he spoke. Jean furrowed her brows, her expression was cold. You truly think highly of yourself. Qin Wentian stared at Wuxia. His cold eyes had no fluctuations of emotions at all. Princess Nongyue is here. Princess Nongyue has arrived. At this moment, numerous exclamations rang out. The people in this vast region started to be in an uproar as countless gazes turned to the air. In a certain direction, a group of experts soared through the air. Princess Nongyue was riding on a black-colored demonic beast, surrounded by countless experts as her guards. Princess Nongyue is truly a phoenix in the mortal world. A heaven chosen. Not only is her status extraordinary, she even has such beauty. I wonder who would be so lucky as to have a chance to marry the princess. Most probably, that person would be able to die with no regrets. Countless sighs of admiration rang out from the crowd. At this moment, even in the direction of Qin Wentian, the people of the Wan clan all inclined their heads and stared at the beautiful maiden in the air. Baiming Nongyue, the princess of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. She was lofty and lofty, unexcelled in the world. Wan Miaoyan had a look of yearning on her face, only envy could be seen in her heart. This was a true heaven chosen. Although she was respected by many in Skyflame City, in the royal capital, anyone could look at her with a disdainful gaze. Young Master Duanmu and Wuxia were characters that they could only look up to. As for Princess Nongyue, only others had the qualifications to look up to her. This was the absolute disparity between them. Staring at Princess Nongyue ascending the throne step by step, Wan Miaoyan clenched her fists. One day, she also wanted to become such a magnificent character. In that case, everything would start from the moment she entered the Dark North Immortal Mountain. Princess Nongyue is getting more and more beautiful. Wuxia stared at Baiming Nongyue as he sighed. This was the woman he truly loved. If he married her, his radiance would illuminate the heavens and earth. In his clan, he would also be able to enjoy supreme glory. As for Wan Miaoyan and Jean, although they were beautiful, their statuses were low. At most, he would only want to toy with them. We pay our respects to Princess. The sounds of clattering rang out as the vast crowd bowed. These voices gradually gathered into a terrifying torrent, shaking the entire area. For a period of time, the figure seated on the throne seemed incomparably majestic. She was clad in a luxurious cloak and had a crown on her head, exuding a solemn and dignified aura. This solemn intent caused the hearts of Wan Miaoyan and the others to tremble. Countless voices gathered, and when the collective worship of hundreds of thousands of people occurred before their eyes, it was far more impactful than they had imagined. This time, the opening of the Dark North Immortal Mountain will be hosted by me. I represent the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom to welcome the geniuses from the 8 regions. Right now, the banquet has already been prepared. Everyone can enjoy yourselves, and after the banquet, I will officially select the geniuses from the 8 regions to enter the Dark North Immortal Mountain for cultivation. Baiming Nongyue stood up and stretched out her hands, gesturing to the crowd. Although she was facing countless people and was being worshipped as a princess, how could she feel any stage fright? She was born noble and extraordinary in this life. Many thanks, Princess. Everyone spoke in unison. After that, many people sat down and enjoyed the banquet. There were also countless people who stood there, exuding a majestic aura. Baiming Nongyue is even more heroic now. Qin Wentian glanced over as he smiled to Li Yufeng who was beside him. That's only natural. Li Yufeng also stared at that figure. At this moment, his mood was much better. This last Nongyue actually had such a majestic side to her. This caused him to feel a little complacent. Yet another disgusting person. A look of disgust appeared on Wan Miaoyan's face, directly calling Princess Nongyue by her name, as though you are trying to show how extraordinary you are. You are clearly the lowest and most lowly existence, yet you are pretending to be indifferent to everything. This is the first time I've seen someone as shameless as you. Qin Wentian stared at Wan Miaoyan. The eyes of Wan Miaoyan were filled with true disgust that came from the bottom of her heart. Indeed, no matter who he was facing, he would always be so calm. Duanmu Muqiu, and even Baiming Nongyue. When Wan Miaoyan saw this, she felt a sense of disgust. Bastard. Wan Qingshan coldly spoke. Also Jin, from now on you will stay in the royal capital and accompany young Master Mu. This is an order for you. The appearance of Jin caused Wan Qingshan to feel even more uncomfortable. She would block Wan Miaoyan's path. Now that Miaoyan had a chance to be together with young Master Duanmu, he naturally had to deal with Jin first. No matter how good Qin Wentian's temper was, no matter how much he disdained to bother with them, he couldn't endure being humiliated like this. A cold intent gushed forth from him. You actually have a temper? An expression of interest appeared on Muqiu's face. Do you believe that I won't let you guys walk out of here alive? Li Yufeng laughed as he stared at Muqiu and Duanmu. The expressions of Muqiu and Duanmu froze. After that, Muqiu laughed. Many people in the surroundings laughed as well. As for Duanmu, he coldly spoke. Even if Princess Nongyue might blame us, it seems like there are some things that we have to do. Lowly people should have their own attitude. Ants trying to shake a tree is simply overestimating their own capabilities. Can you endure this? Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. I can't. Li Yufeng shook his head. Wouldn't it look bad on Baiming Nongyue's face? Qin Wentian spoke again. Nongyue wouldn't care about such a small matter. Li Yufeng spoke again. They seem to have many immortal king guards. Qin Wentian continued. Don't worry, they wouldn't dare to move. Li Yufeng replied. Okay then. Qin Wentian nodded lightly. The conversation between the two of them was as calm as ever, using a tone that Wan Miaoyan felt was disgusting. In fact, it sounded a little strange. After that, the spectators only saw Qin Wentian moving towards Wan Qingshan, arriving before him. Wan Qingshan also stared at Qin Wentian as he coldly snorted. Before this, there were already many mocking words. Although I do mind it, but when I thought of how pitiful you are, I didn't bother about it. However, even if I don't bother about it, the faces of the two of you only grew uglier and uglier. If it was before this, I can forget about it. But earlier, you insulted me and Jin, as well as your killing intent. You will have to pay a price for that. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Price. Wan Qingshan's might gushed forth, exuding the might of a peak-level Immortal Foundation expert. Boom. At the instant his aura erupted forth, Qin Wentian's palm blasted out with the speed of lightning. How dare you? Wan Miaoyan coldly snorted. Wan Qingshan's aura gushed forth as Qin Wentian's palm transformed into a terrifying palm imprint, directly shattering all defenses. Pa! A crisp and violent sound rang out, followed by a muffled rumble. Wan Qingshan was slapped to the ground. One side of his face was swollen, and there was a clear handprint on it. His mind was in a daze. Chapter 1338. Wan Qingshan was stunned. The people of the Wan clan were stunned as well. They didn't expect that Qin Wentian would suddenly act, directly slapping Wan Qingshan to the ground. Duanmu and Muqiu also had strange looks on their faces. Was this fellow crazy? You are courting death. Wan Yao berated. However, Qin Wentian lifted his left hand and flung it out. A crisp sound rang out as Wan Yao was flung through the air. Die. On the ground, Wan Qingshan's killing intent abruptly exploded forth as his aura surged. However, before he could even get up, Qin Wentian's foot directly stomped down on his chest. Poochie, Wan Qingshan coughed out a mouthful of blood as his body trembled violently from the force of the impact. Wentian. Wan Zhuqing's expression froze. Did things really develop to such a state? Release. Wan Miaoyan's entire body was surrounded by terrifying flames. She was like a goddess of flames, wanting to incinerate everything into ashes. How impudent! Duanmu murmured. Since you are the one who acted first, you can only blame yourselves for courting death. Mu Qiu laughed. I don't wish to see these two again. As the sound of his voice faded, the experts who escorted them here radiated coldness as a terrifying immortal king might bore down on them. But at this moment the expressions of those immortal kings changed. They didn't move at all. Mu Qiu frowned. He stared at the people around him. Didn't you guys hear my words? Young master, the other party has experts protecting them. A person spoke in a low voice, his words causing Mu Qiu's countenance to stiffen. He stared at Li Yufeng only to see Li Yufeng smiling faintly. In the next instant, numerous silhouettes walked over, causing the atmosphere in this space to be filled with an oppressive pressure. This scene caused Duanmu and Mu Qiu's eyes to narrow slightly, and the expressions of the Wan clan's members became exceptionally interesting. Wan Miaoyan stared at these experts who appeared, and then glanced at Li Yufeng and Qin Wentian. Could it be that there was a major power behind this fellow? However, Qin Wentian had clearly been with his family in Heavenly Flame City. There doesn't seem to be someone like you in the royal capital. Who are you? Mu Qiu stared at Li Yufeng. An outsider. Li Yufeng laughed lightly. Since you're an outsider, even if you have some immortal king experts by your side, you still don't have the qualifications to behave atrociously in this royal city. Apologize now and scram. Duanmu coldly spoke. As an emperor-ranked power in the royal capital, their horizons were naturally much higher compared to ordinary people. The experts around Li Yufeng might be able to scare the Wan clan, but to them, it was far from enough. Earlier, I've already said it. There's no need to leave the royal capital. Today, I will make sure that none of you can leave this region. Li Yufeng's expression was as calm as ever. Tell me, do you guys want a one-on-one fight or a group battle? What arrogant words. I truly want to see where your courage comes from. To dare to say such words in front of me, Mu Qiu. Mu Qiu spoke loudly, causing the gazes of more and more people to turn over. Those who knew of the Mu clan and Duanmu clan all had expressions of interest on their faces. Interesting, the Mu clan and Duanmu clan were both extremely terrifying existences in the royal capital. Emperor-ranked powers with deep roots in the royal capital. Right now, it seemed that there was an outsider who wanted to clash with this young master of the Mu clan. Since this outsider had such confidence, it was highly possible that his identity was extraordinary as well. In fact, there was a high possibility that he was from an emperor-ranked power. Immortal Emperor, the pinnacle of the immortal realms. In terms of the countless lives in the immortal realms, the number of immortal emperors was truly pitifully few. Immortal emperor-ranked powers were even rarer, and it wasn't easy to encounter one. For geniuses who grew up in such a power, they would naturally have an innate arrogance, unexcelled in the world. The two of you, come at me together. Mu Qiu took a step forward, speaking to Li Yufeng and Qin Wentian. Li Yufeng's heart was on the verge of collapse. It was very rare for him to be treated with such disdain. A mere disciple from an emperor-ranked power actually dared to ask him and Qin Wentian to fight together? One was a saint child of the 100 Refinement sect. The other was a supreme genius who caused a storm of blood in the Tiandao Sacred Academy. In addition, both of them were once rankers on the Supreme Might rankings. Mu Qiu wanted the two of them to fight together? Do you want to go first or should I? Li Yufeng turned his head and asked Qin Wentian. You go first. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Although Li Yufeng's cultivation base was slightly lower, Qin Wentian didn't doubt his strength. Against a mere Mu Qiu, Li Yufeng wasn't even worthy of a mention. Right. Li Yufeng smiled and nodded. After that, An incomparably tyrannical aura gushed forth from Wuxia. In an instant, a golden light flashed, illuminating the entire space. The fearsome killing intent caused even more people to notice this conflict. Li Yufeng circulated his immortal foundation. In an instant, his body shone with a resplendent light as a supreme battle armor appeared around him. A terrifying furnace that could refine everything in the world floated in the air. Within it, golden undercurrents of destruction could be seen, as well as a tempest of flames. The law energy of immortals enveloped this entire space, and in an instant, everyone felt as though they were within the furnace. The countenances of Wuxia and Duanmu changed. This aura was too powerful. A peak-level immortal foundation expert released his aura, instantly causing countless gazes to turn over. Many people had strange looks in their eyes. At the banquet hosted by the Dark North Princess, there were actually people fighting? Boom! Wuxia took a step forward as a golden killing light filled the sky, compressed to a terrifying degree. The battle actually erupted in a narrow space. The terrifying smelting furnace devoured everything. Numerous smelting furnaces appeared, directly devouring all the energy in the surroundings. After that, it spat out destructive currents that swept towards Wuxia. Arg! Suddenly, Wuxia let out a scream of misery. He felt the temperature of his body rising rapidly. Under the might of the law energy, he felt as though he was about to be refined. The shadow of the furnace appeared above him, enveloping him, wanting to incinerate him. Stay your hand. With an explosive roar, Wuxia's protector stepped out. At the same time, the protector behind Li Yufeng also stepped out, directly standing in front of them. Two terrifying auras engulfed the heavens and earth, shaking the entire region. It's them, the people we met earlier. The expressions of the people from the Wan clan grew incredibly unsightly. Li Yufeng and his group were actually the people they saw flying through the air earlier. To their Wan clan, they were characters akin to the clouds in the sky. Also, Li Yufeng referred to Qin Wentian as Brother Qin. In that case, who was Qin Wentian exactly? The countenances of the people from the Wan clan all changed. At this moment, they suddenly understood that they were embroiled in a storm that wasn't on their level. Wan Qingshan was still being trampled by Qin Wentian. Wan Yao's lips were still dripping with blood. But at this instant, they all felt fear in their hearts. They could no longer care about their injuries. Even a character like Wuxia felt a threat to his life. Do you want to die in this royal capital? Wuxia stared at Li Yufeng. Earlier, you wanted the two of us to attack together. Who would have thought that you are so useless? You can't defeat me and now you want to threaten me? Li Yufeng laughed. Princess Nongyue is here, release them. Duanmu also spoke. Everyone inclined their heads only to see Baiming Nongyue leading her experts over. Her magnificence was unmatched through the generations. Everywhere she passed by, people would bow and pay their respects. After she arrived, regardless of the people from the Mu clan or Duanmu clan, all of them bowed and called out, "We pay our respects to Princess. We pay our respects to Princess." The people from the Wan clan also bowed deeply, staring at this character who was at the clouds, the noble princess of the Dark North Immortal Dynasty. Princess, I'm Duanmu Xiu from the Duanmu clan. This person came from an unknown place. He actually dared to behave atrociously at the banquet hosted by Princess. His crime is punishable by death. Young Lord Duanmu bowed to Baiming Nongyue. Right now Wuxia's life was being threatened. In that case, he could only make use of Princess Nongyue's prestige. Li Yufeng laughed. His laughter was filled with amusement. Qin Wentian shook his head lightly. This Wuxia and Duanmu Xiu were truly courting death. Baiming Nongyue turned her gaze to Duanmu Xiu and spoke. I've already noticed the situation here. The conflict was between the two of you. If I want to punish you, should I kill all of you? Duanmu Xiu's expression froze, becoming extremely unsightly to behold. Princess, I'm Wuxia from the Mu clan. This man is rude and unreasonable. He even showed disrespect to Princess. Wuxia's life was in danger. How could he still care about face? Oh, Baiming Nongyue calmly spoke. In that case, I should be thanking you for standing up for me. Since this is the case, you guys can continue. The hearts of everyone trembled. The princess of an immortal dynasty, so what if she was from an emperor-ranked power? Did she even need to care? There was no need. The people from the Wan clan all turned as pale as paper. Before this, I've already reminded you twice. Today you won't be able to leave this place. Li Yufeng stared at Wuxia. In an instant, an even more terrifying destructive might gushed forth. Arg! Wuxia screamed in misery as his body was being destroyed bit by bit. But at this moment, a terrifying beam of light shot forth. In the air, an incomparably imposing expert appeared. This was an immortal emperor, the immortal sense of an immortal emperor. Impudent! That immortal emperor roared in rage, coldly staring at Li Yufeng. How dare you? Bai Ming Nongyue coldly snorted. Only now did that immortal emperor notice where he was, and also saw Bai Ming Nongyue. Princess Nongyue, what's going on? Why does someone want to kill my descendant? That immortal emperor asked. Your descendant is too tyrannical and has no one in his eyes. He wanted to expel me on behalf of Princess Nongyue, and even wanted to make it so that I won't be able to leave the royal capital alive. Hence he has to die. Li Yufeng inclined his head as he spoke. Countless people were stunned. An immortal emperor appeared. He actually still dared to be so domineering? Do you think you can touch him? That immortal emperor radiated killing intent. Several immortal kings appeared before Li Yufeng, helping him to block the pressure. However, Li Yufeng merely laughed. He was the one who started the battle. Since he couldn't win, you decided to step out? Li Yufeng mockingly laughed. It's fine if you want to protect him, I won't kill him. But if he doesn't die today, I will annihilate your entire clan. Do you believe me? Chapter 1339. As the sound of Li Yufeng's voice faded, the surroundings instantly turned silent. At this moment, the immortal sense of an immortal emperor appeared before Li Yufeng. How could Li Yufeng not know about this? However, when facing an immortal emperor, he actually told the immortal emperor that if you stop me today, I won't kill Wuxia. In that case, I will annihilate your entire clan in the future. Do you want Wuxia to die or your entire clan to be annihilated? Was he arrogant? How arrogant was he? Moreover, he dared to say such words in front of Princess Nongyue. When one was arrogant to the extreme, others would no longer think that it was simply ignorant arrogance. They would feel that it was truly a terrifying confidence. If not, what could he use to threaten an immortal emperor? Immortal emperors wouldn't be frightened so easily. Wuxia, who was enveloped by the destructive energy, froze. Duan Wuxia also froze, as well as the experts around them, as well as those from the Wan clan. Wuxia and Duan Wuxia had always been confident that as long as it wasn't someone from the royal clan of the Dark North Immortal Dynasty, how many people in the royal capital could they not afford to antagonize? This was especially so when Wuxia and Duan Wuxia stood together. Their confidence grew even more intense. For those they couldn't afford to antagonize, they naturally knew of them. However, they didn't know of Li Yufeng. The Dark North dynasty was boundlessly vast. But outside of the royal capital, as long as one was in the territory of the Dark North dynasty, there were simply too few people whom they couldn't afford to offend. Hence, they naturally had the qualifications to be domineering. But at this moment, Wuxia and Duan Wuxia suddenly sensed an unusual aura. Could it be that the person before them truly came from one of those rare powers which they couldn't afford to offend? If not, how would he dare to say such arrogant words when facing an immortal emperor? The people of the Wan clan were so frightened that they stood there in a daze. Wan Miaoyan's beautiful eyes were as cold as ever, but huge waves rose up in her heart. She discovered that the situation was far more complicated than she had imagined. The person whom she thought to be a lowly person was actually an existence which her Wan clan couldn't afford to offend. Wan Qingshan was still being trampled under Qin Wentian's feet. He inclined his head and stared at Qin Wentian only to discover that Qin Wentian's eyes were as calm as ever, just like before. It was as though Li Yufeng's words were only natural. At this moment, Wan Qingshan suddenly felt his entire body turning cold as an extremely ominous feeling welled up in his heart. That immortal emperor stared at Li Yufeng, wanting to see through him. After that, he glanced at the energy Li Yufeng unleashed as his eyes narrowed. This energy seemed to be from a peak power that didn't belong to the Hokage Sengoku. Who are you? That immortal emperor asked. Li Yufeng. Staring at the eyes of the immortal emperor, Li Yufeng calmly smiled. Naturally, he didn't think that just a name would be sufficient to scare an immortal emperor. After all, as peak powers of the northern regions, although the Dark North Empire and the 100 Refinements sect were bordering each other, the distance between them was simply too vast. The people of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom would all be able to recognize the princesses of the Dark North Empire, but there wouldn't be many who would recognize the sage child of the 100 Refinements sect. Only peak stage immortal kings and famous immortal emperors would be able to spread their fame across the vast territories of the empire. Qin Wentian was only at the Immortal Foundation realm, yet his fame spread across the entire eastern regions. This was a miracle. Li Yufeng had yet to create such a miracle. I come from the 100 Refinements sect. Li Yufeng's following words were like thunder from a clear sky, ringing out in the ears of that immortal emperor and Mu Qiu. As expected, the eyes of that immortal emperor froze. If there was someone who dared to exterminate his clan, he should have already guessed that this person must be from a peak power. And in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, other than the royal clan, there were no other peak powers. There was only that extremely far-away place, the 100 Refinements sect. Mu Qiu and Duan Mu Qiu were disciples of immortal emperors. Although they didn't know who Li Yufeng was, they naturally knew what power the 100 Refinements sect was. It was a peak power of the northern regions, a power on par with the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. Their hearts sank unceasingly. This is the sage child of my sect. An immortal king at the side coldly spoke. In this place, the sage child Li Yufeng was actually threatened by a junior, who was also at the Immortal Foundation realm, saying that he would die here in the royal capital. This was simply preposterous. Mu Qiu paled. He finally knew that in this place, he had also encountered a character he couldn't afford to offend. Mu Qiu, kneel down and apologize. The immortal emperor berated. Mu Qiu's body trembled as his face turned completely pale. In front of so many people, in front of Bai Ming Nongyue, he had to kneel down and apologize. The people of the Wan clan all had extremely marvelous expressions on their faces. Wan Miaoyan, Wan Yao and the others felt their hearts trembling the most intensely. They thought that Mu Qiu and Duan Mu Qiu were characters that were lofty and lofty. Hence, the Wan clan took the initiative to curry favor with them. However, at this moment, they discovered that the person they looked down on, was actually an existence that Mu Qiu and Duan Mu Qiu couldn't afford to offend. Sage child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. Wan Zhuqing murmured. At this moment, great waves of shock rose up in his heart. Wasn't this the name Qin Wentian had mentioned to him earlier? Qin Wentian said that Bai Ming Nongyue of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom already had someone in her heart. And the person she was in love with was none other than the sage child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. At that time, Wan Zhuqing still thought that Qin Wentian was joking. He said that even Qin Wentian was so good at joking, as though he was telling the truth. But now Li Yufeng was here, and he was really the sage child of the 100 Refinements sect. Not only that, he was acquainted with Qin Wentian, and even referred to Qin Wentian as Brother Qin. When all of this was linked together, one could very well imagine how terrifying the waves of shock in Wan Zhuqing's heart were. Was that really a joke? Wan Zhuqing's body trembled. He inclined his head and stared at Bai Ming Nongyue, who was in the air. She had been quietly standing there, and earlier when Duanmu and Mu Qiu wanted her to support them, she ignored them. If what Qin Wentian said was true, in that case, since Wan Zhuqing thought of this, Jean naturally thought of it as well. After all, she was also in the sedan back then. However, her state of heart was much calmer than before. After all, she had asked Qin Wentian before, and Qin Wentian had admitted that he was extraordinary. It was just that Jean had no way to imagine what level Qin Wentian's extraordinariness had reached exactly. After that, Wan Yao's body also trembled. Wan Zhuqing's soft voice seemed to have reminded her of the conversation she had eavesdropped on earlier. Before this, they mocked Jean for being so arrogant, saying that Qin Wentian was someone who towered above the clouds to elevate himself. But right now, All the lies they felt were being verified step by step. Li Yufeng is the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect. In that case, who is this Qin Wentian? Many gazes of the Wan clan landed on Qin Wentian. At this moment, Wan Qingshan, who was lying on the ground, seemed to have forgotten the humiliation of being trampled on by Qin Wentian. His mind was in a complete mess. Thinking back to everything that happened earlier, he couldn't even remember what humiliating words he had said to Qin Wentian. Cough! Wan Qingshan coughed out another mouthful of blood. However, at this moment, no one in the Wan clan dared to move. Apologize? Li Yufeng suddenly laughed. If an apology was useful, wouldn't that mean that there would be no more battles in the world of cultivation? I humiliated you and wanted to kill you. But when I discovered that I couldn't win the battle, I apologized. When has there ever been such a good thing in this world? Have you thought it through clearly? Can I kill him now? Is it him who dies, or your entire clan will be annihilated? Li Yufeng coldly spoke. Before this, his temper was very good. He only felt that it was ridiculous. It had always been him who used his status to suppress others. When had it ever been the turn for someone to threaten to kill him in front of the person he loved? This was truly a shameful matter. Would Wuxia die, or would his entire clan be annihilated? Simple words, yet tyrannical to the extreme. Wuxia felt a bone-piercing coldness. He had never felt that death would be so close to him before. Princess, can you spare Wuxia's life? That immortal emperor turned his gaze to Baiming Nongyue. Li Yufeng wasn't willing to spare Wuxia. In that case, he could only place his hope on Baiming Nongyue. This place was the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. As long as Baiming Nongyue was willing to help, there was still a chance to resolve this matter. Emperor Mu, one has to pay the price for doing things. I've seen everything that happened earlier. Wuxia was arrogant and despotic, wanting to expel all the participants of the banquet, and even threaten them with death. Since this is the case, he should pay the corresponding price. Luckily, the Mu clan isn't implicated yet. Hence, Emperor Mu, you better be more cautious. Baiming Nongyue calmly spoke. After that, she turned her gaze to Li Yufeng. You too. Since you are here, just come and look for me directly. Why must you create such a commotion? As the sound of Baiming Nongyue's voice faded, the hearts of countless people trembled. Just come and look for her directly? Princess Baiming Nongyue of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was acquainted with the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, Li Yufeng. In fact, their relationship wasn't shallow. Didn't I want to give you a pleasant surprise? Li Yufeng laughed. Baiming Nongyue glared at him. Her silhouette flashed as she appeared beside Li Yufeng and lightly stretched out her hand. In the next instant, Li Yufeng and Baiming Nongyue's hands clasped together. Numerous exclamations of shock rang out. In an instant, this entire space trembled. Such a scene, how could they still not understand what was going on? The saint child of the 100 Refinements sect and Princess Nongyue of the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. They were a pair of lovers. Wuxia's expression was like dead ashes as despair rose in his heart. Duan Wuxia's face was filled with terror. Although no one was acting against him now, his body was already trembling slightly from fear. The hearts of the people of the Wan clan were like dead ashes. Everything was as Qin Wentian had said. Baiming Nongyue, the princess of the dynasty, was a character so lofty that they couldn't reach her. Even to Duan Wuxia, she was unreachable. But at this moment, she was holding on to Li Yufeng's hand, and Li Yufeng was referring to Qin Wentian as Brother Qin. Is this the pleasant surprise you want to give me? Baiming Nongyue speechlessly spoke. Haha, you can't blame me for this matter. This is all because of Brother Qin. Being able to meet this fellow here, isn't it a pleasant surprise? Li Yufeng laughed. Baiming Nongyue and Li Yufeng turned together, staring at Qin Wentian. The princess of the dynasty whom the people of the Wan clan regarded as an unreachable existence, had a faint smile on her face. Since you are already in the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom, why do you still need to come here to take the test? You can just come and look for me directly. Would I dare to not receive you, a great demon king? Chapter 1340. Bai Mingnongyue's voice instantly attracted the attention of everyone to Qin Wentian. Princess Nongyue personally arrived, and she was holding Li Yufeng's hand. Countless people were shocked. Li Yufeng was the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect. And at this moment, Princess Nongyue was holding Li Yufeng's hand, standing before Qin Wentian at the same time, treating him as an equal. Who was he exactly? In fact, Bai Mingnongyue's words seemed to contain a hint of self-mockery. Just come and look for me directly. Would I dare to not receive a great demon king like you? What status did this young man have to be able to receive such a joke from Bai Mingnongyue? Also, the way Bai Mingnongyue addressed him was extremely interesting. Great demon king? What had Qin Wentian done exactly for Bai Mingnongyue to refer to him as a great demon king? In addition, Li Yufeng also said that it was because he saw Qin Wentian here that he came over. Being able to instantly attract the attention of the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, and even cause the princess of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom to address him in such a manner. Who was he exactly? At the very least, he should be in existence on the same level as Qin Wentian. This level wasn't merely in terms of cultivation base, it was also in terms of talent and background. If one were to talk about cultivation bases, the cultivation bases of the people here weren't any lower than Li Yufeng and Bai Mingnongyue. Duanmu's heart was already numb. Before this, if it was said that offending Li Yufeng wasn't ruthless enough, then right now, he gradually felt despair. Offending Qin Wentian was even more ruthless compared to offending Li Yufeng. And now, a single sentence from Princess Nongyue was undoubtedly a declaration to him. No matter who he offended, he couldn't afford to offend them. The people of the Wan clan were all trembling. Even for Wan Qingshan, who was being trampled by Qin Wentian on the ground, at this instant, he no longer felt anger or humiliation. There was only despair in his heart. Those mocking words he said to Qin Wentian earlier still lingered in his mind. Those words had become the talisman that would hasten his death. Great Demon King? Qin Wentian didn't think too much about it. When he heard how Bai Mingnongyue addressed him, he felt it was funny. He shrugged. I came to the Hokage Sengoku kingdom for the sake of tempering myself, and coincidentally, the opening of the Dark North Immortal Mountain happened to happen. Speaking of which, it's quite a coincidence that the person in charge of this banquet is none other than you. If I knew this earlier, I wouldn't have squeezed into the crowd. Qin Wentian's casual words were like thunder exploding in the ears of Wuxia, Duanmu, and the Wan clan. Previously, Qin Wentian was just a minor character, and no one would care about his words. Some of his arrogant words were even humiliated by others. But now, every word he said would determine the lives of the people around him. It was a matter of life and death. Could it be that the great Demon King was wrong? Back then, wherever you went, you would make the geniuses tremble and cause a storm of blood. Bai Mingnongyue laughed. At that time, compared to you, I, the princess of the Hokage Sengoku kingdom, can only be described as insignificant. Before this, I already felt that I had lost a lot of face when I was forced off the rankings by this fellow. I always wanted to find him for a fight, but after that, I discovered that I couldn't win against him. As a saint child of the 100 Refinements sect, I also feel very embarrassed. Li Yufeng shook his head and smiled. He still couldn't see through Qin Wentian. But back then, in the most shocking battle in the Tiandao Sacred Academy, Qin Wentian fought against Huang Shatian to such an intense degree. Li Yufeng knew that it was impossible for him to defeat Qin Wentian. In addition, he knew that Qin Wentian defeated Huang Shatian at the foot of the Devil Mountain. For those below the Immortal King realm, it would be extremely difficult to find someone who could defeat Qin Wentian, even in the vast immortal realms. Who is this fellow exactly? Princess Nongyue and the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect. Although they seem to be joking, it seems like they feel that they are inferior to Qin Wentian. How terrifying is this fellow exactly? Princess Nongyue's fame wasn't simply because of her beauty. Li Yufeng was able to become the saint child of the 100 Refinements sect because of his talent. However, these two people were actually sighing about being inferior to this unremarkable young man before them. How could the hearts of the spectators not tremble? You two immortal companions, stop praising me to death. Qin Wentian smiled and shook his head. It has been so many years since we last met. To think that I would be able to meet such an enviable couple here. Do you want to treat me to a few cups of wine? Naturally. After we settle the matters here, follow me to the tall platform. I will do my best as a host. Bai Mingnongyue smiled and nodded. Their conversation was like a conversation between old friends, extremely ordinary. Qin Wentian's tone was as calm as ever, even though the person standing before him was the unreachable Princess Nongyue. When they thought of how they humiliated Qin Wentian earlier, intentionally speaking to Duanmu in such an indifferent tone in order to raise their own statuses, the faces of the Wan clan's experts were all burning hot. Was there a need to feign indifference when speaking to Duanmu? Even when speaking to Bai Mingnongyue, he was still as calm as ever. For a truly arrogant person, no matter who he was facing, he would always be like this. Because there was no need for him to look up to anyone, he could simply look at them calmly. Only now did the people of the Wan clan understand. Wan Yao no longer dared to look directly at Qin Wentian, the young man who was speaking to Princess Nongyue. As for Wuxia, it was as though he was forgotten by the three of them. Even the immortal sense of an immortal emperor was ignored. What sort of attitude was this? It was like from their perspective, Wuxia was simply an insignificant character. As for the immortal sense of an immortal emperor, it was merely a strand of immortal sense. If an immortal emperor personally appeared, they might be able to place some importance on him. Pooh! A light sound rang out. The eyes of everyone abruptly narrowed as their hearts pounded violently. The young master of the Duanmu clan, Duanmu Xiao, at this moment, knelt to Li Yufeng and Qin Wentian. The arrogant young master Duanmu suddenly knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Duanmu Xiao has eyes but can't see. Earlier, my words offended the two of you. Luckily, I didn't make a grave mistake. I hope that princess and the two of you can forgive me. If you have any requests, Duanmu Xiao will definitely bow and comply. Before Duanmu Xiao knelt and begged for mercy, he experienced an extremely difficult internal struggle. Given his arrogance, this act of kneeling simply destroyed his pride. But from the casual conversation between the three of them earlier, Duanmu Xiao truly understood what sort of characters these three were. They basically didn't care about Wuxia's life or death. Naturally, they wouldn't care about him as well. They directly ignored the immortal sense of an immortal emperor. If he wanted to live and leave this place alive, he could only kneel and beg for mercy. Wuxia and Duanmu Xiao, these two incomparably arrogant people. Right now Wuxia's life was hanging by a thread. Duanmu Xiao actually knelt and begged for mercy. Their arrogant attitude earlier was still resounding in the minds of the Wan clan's people. They viewed them as characters who were above the clouds, characters who could casually marry into the Wan clan's Wan Miaoyan's heart. Right now, they were actually kneeling before the person she looked down on, Qin Wentian, wagging their tails and begging for mercy, begging for Qin Wentian's forgiveness. She once said that Qin Wentian was an ant-like character. As for Duanmu Xiao, he only needed to step out a single foot, and he would be able to crush Qin Wentian into pieces. She once said that Qin Wentian was a lowly person who didn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth. Who exactly was lowly? Who exactly was a character above the clouds? Unreachable. Sometimes the people above the clouds were not untouchable. They might appear by one side, but they would be forcefully ignored by one. They would even constantly humiliate and ridicule them, as if they wanted to add all the contempt they had to the other party. Sometimes, those incomparably arrogant characters weren't truly arrogant. When they faced someone higher than them, they would prostrate themselves and lower their heads. Today, the people of the Wan clan deeply experienced what it meant by having eyes but failed to see. Brother Qin, have you made your decision? Princess Nongyue spoke to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian calmly stared at Duanmu, who was kneeling on the ground. He didn't have the complacency he had when he gained the upper hand. With regards to all of this, he was very indifferent. Duanmu was very arrogant, hence he spoke rudely. But right now his arrogance was most probably already shattered. In truth, there was already no need for him to do anything. Most probably, Duanmu wouldn't be able to raise his head high in the future. This act of kneeling had taken away his dignity. Scram! Qin Wentian lifted his palm and blasted out. With a thunderous boom, Duanmu's body was flung through the air. A clear five-fingered imprint could be seen on his face. Qin Wentian didn't want his life, but the pain in Duanmu Xiu's heart right now wasn't any better than death. He really scrammed away, leaving this place with his tail between his legs. His life was saved, but his dignity was lost. In the future, he would no longer be the Duanmu young master of the past. Qin Wentian naturally understood that Duanmu Xiu's life was in his hands, but he still chose to spare him. The Hokage Sengoku Kingdom was the ruler of a region, and the Duanmu clan was after all an immortal emperor power. In addition to the Mu clan, these two emperor-rank powers most probably had terrifying influence as well. Although the Hokage Sengoku Kingdom wouldn't care about the attitude of immortal emperors, Qin Wentian still had to consider for Bai Mingnongyu's sake. Killing a single Mu Qiu was already enough. Duanmu Xiu wasn't as disgusting as Mu Qiu. Boom. At this moment, Mu Qiu also knelt down. Qin Wentian glanced at him with loathing. Before this, what he did to Jin was already enough for him to die. It's useless even if you kneel. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. Upon hearing this, Li Yufeng calmly spoke. I think so too. Kill him. As the sound of his voice faded, the people from the 100 Refinements sect naturally acted for him. A beam of destructive energy that could refine everything appeared, directly devouring Mu Qiu. A scream of misery rang out as Mu Qiu was turned into ashes by that terrifying destructive energy. The immortal emperor shadow in the air trembled. After that, he turned to Bai Mingnongyue and spoke, Princess, I will take my leave. As the sound of his voice faded, the immortal sense departed. The powerful young master of the Mu clan was directly killed just like that. Do they have any friends of yours? Bai Mingnongyue stared at the people from the Wan clan. This is Jin, my friend. This is Jin's father, Wan Zhuqing. He is a good friend I met on my way here. Qin Wentian smiled as he introduced. Miss Jin, Mr. Wan. Bai Mingnongyue smiled and nodded to the two of them. Princess. Jin bowed slightly. She understood the etiquette. But Wan Zhuqing wasn't so calm. His body trembled as he bowed. Wan Zhuqing pays his respects to Princess. Since old sir is a friend of brother Qin, you are naturally a guest of my Hokage Sengoku Kingdom. There's no need to be so polite. Bai Mingnongyue smiled. When the people from the Wan clan saw this scene, they all felt like dying. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.